Lounge Radio. With your hosts, Dark Sakura, Sky, and Loki.
This week, after AOL's closure of various blogs, some have turned to crowdfunding in order to continue the coverage their readers enjoyed and found success in doing so. The resurgence of fan favorites occurs big and small in this week's news, and we'll tell you all about it right now on the show, where every gamer has a voice.
Orange Lounge Radio.
Hello, my friends out there on the internet, and welcome back to another week of the show where every gamer has a voice. It is Orange Lounge Radio, live on this February the 8th, 2015, with the 586th episode of our show. Here to talk about video games, gaming culture, and the gamer lifestyle are myself, Rob Roberts, but you might know me as Sky on Twitter and in the intro there. And joining me on this 3-hour tour are my lovely co-hosts. Say hello to Dark Sakura, or Jamie Summers.
Hi.
Hi, how are you, Miss Jamie Summers?
Meat.
Meat. Are you going to give me one-word answers all night long?
Maybe.
What kind of meat are we talking about? Are we talking about like meat on a pizza, meat in a salad, meat?
I had
murderous
chopped up
meat?
hamburger and then a bratwurst, half a bratwurst, all covered in cheese, and it was gloriously greasy and delicious.
Sounds like an epic fart waiting to happen.
I'm a lady. I just belch. Also, yeah.
All right. Also joining us, say yeah to Techmaster Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you doing, Loki?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, you seem very chipper. It's because of that sandwich you ate. You went to your favorite sandwich shop again.
Yeah.
You're doing that thing I talked about last week where you find that new food you love.
Well, I just wanted to try the meatball sub, and it was so worth it. But yes.
Yes.
But mainly, I'm just excited because, and I'll get into this later when I get into my game week, because I have rank bacon. That's right, rank bacon.
Oh, look at you. You've really got wow, your game is really coming along. Okay.
But fuck stars or whatever other trophies you want. That's right. That's spinning bacon right there.
So you have spinning bacon instead of stars for your racing game on how you ranked in a particular level.
Yes.
Wow, your game is looking pretty rad, I got to say. That's all right. Look at you.
Anyways.
When are we going to get a demo? When do I get to play it? When do I get to play it? When do I get the spinning
soon.
bacon for myself?
I'm just working on finishing the finish sequence thing where it shows like there's a whole. I gotta show you during break and stuff. There's a whole explosion and
Nice.
stuff like that, and it actually does calculate your time now and compares it to a record time and eventually a world record time, which will be the online leaderboards, and then
Online leader? Well, what the hell? You're making like a full-fledged PS4 game over here. This is crazy. All right.
Yes, but I have to thank the person I'm using the assets from, Raccoon Media. They're the ones that do all the low poly track stuff that I've been using. I put out on Twitter, I was like, I gotta find, bacon that's low poly that kind of looks like this guy's stuff. And then he's like, you mean like this? And he whipped something together real quick. I'm like, that's so awesome. So, yeah.
Wait, so these guys, Raccoon Media, you said?
Yeah, Raccoon.
They make stuff and you're allowed to just take it? They make all the art and you take it for your game?
No, they make art assets. He sells stuff on the asset store, and so he's got like a one set of assets on the asset store, but he also releases a lot of stuff for free. He kind of started off of there's this guy Kenny Assets Jesus, as they like to call him. He does a bunch of free assets that are out there for people to use, and his is all CC0. But
I forgot. See, I haven't used Unity enough still because my game is never moving along here because I get distracted with all this other stuff. But I forgot that there's that asset store within Unity. So it's kind of like you have like a, for lack of a better term, iTunes or Google Play within Unity where you can buy these things that you use in your game.
Or even free stuff. There's free stuff out there too. But like I went ahead, I supported him because I purchased his set, but he also has like a bunch of other ones, like 5 other ones that are free.
Oh, nice.
Currently, and he keeps releasing more stuff.
So
for it.
You basically got frequent customer bacon.
Exactly, it's awesome. But I was literally putting something. Because I've made my own stuff I've made my own stuff for my game in the same style as his, and it actually looks pretty cool. But I was actually starting to make bacon, and it just kind of it is similar, but his looks so much better than what I was putting together, and it was just awesome. So
he just knows how to build a better bacon.
he's just better at Blender. See, because I tried to learn Blender. I watched videos on how to learn Blender. I actually did 3D Studio Max for a while and went through like a whole online course on that stuff. And I had it down a little bit, but then my computer crashed and so I lost 3D Studio Max. But I tried going back in the Blender again, and I get lost. I don't know. It's one of those things right now. I'm kind of going through the steps like I did before, where I try to find a way around what I want to do, but really I end up having to go back and actually learn how to do it the correct way. So now I'm still in that workaround phase where I'm doing everything in SketchUp, which is Google's free program, and it works well for me, especially for low poly stuff, because it's just, I know how many inches each one of those cubes are in their space, and then I can make stuff that's to scale for that, and it works out perfect. But yeah, it's so much easier when you have someone designing something that looks pretty awesome. So, but yeah, he's supposed to be releasing. Just told me over Twitter that he's releasing his car assets pack and his city pack soon, which I've been looking forward to because they're pretty awesome looking. But
nice,
yeah, so check it out.
Glad to hear things are moving along with your game. I want to introduce our chat room because we always have the live chatters here with our program. We are the show where every gamer has a voice, and you can lend your voice live Sunday nights at the Voice of Geeks Network of vognetwork.com, because that is where we tape the show at the Voice of Geeks Network every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, right after the Bobby Blackwolf show. And if you are listening live, we have a chat room at live.vognetwork.com. And Bobby Blackwolf says, I want to have hashtag VogJam2 start before Loki finishes his hashtag VogJam1 game. And then
I already started a new, it's VogJam belated, so.
Makes a little dig at me saying, when do you get to play any of the VogJam games? Yeah, see, here's the thing. I'm still holding to it. I will not endorse, participate, rally up a second jam until I completely finish the first one. And yeah, it may take a while, but I've got a lot, some of you guys that know me outside shows, I got a lot going on in my personal life right now, especially with my day job and some things happening there. So it's just kind of pushed some things back. Sadly, I'm not always, I know this is going to sound horrible, but I'm not always like in the mood to do a peppy YouTube when I get home from work.
I'm with you there, because like I was going to work on the game last night, and instead I got distracted by, what was it, that the what's wrong with blah 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 movies or whatever. I watched like about, I don't know, a dozen of those, and they're about like 20 minutes long each. I was like, well, damn, it's like 12:30 at night, and I've done nothing. I'm so tired.
And I want to make sure your games get me in a good mood, because your guys' games deserve that. And I'm in a good mood now. I had a great day yesterday, and I'll talk about that a little while during our gaming weeks and so on. But I want to get into tonight's show and some of the video gaming news that's going on out there in the world. Let's start off with tonight's kickoff topic. And tonight's kickoff topic is something that really everybody's been talking about out there on Twitter and Facebook and all the social media. This story has spread like wildfire, which is interesting because the story is a big fat rumor. But when the rumor is reported by the Wall Street Journal, well, it's not like this is something coming from a gaming blog we've never heard of, or something trashy, filthy like Perez Hilton or TMZ or something, which are both Hollywood sites, but still. This is still coming from the Wall Street Journal, which is something a little bit bigger. And they have run a report where the Legend of Zelda, only one of the most popular video game series of all time, is in the works to become a television show at Netflix, which I'm sure a lot of you have had to process that information at some point this week. If you haven't until now, take a minute to kind of go, wow, I would have never guessed that was going to be a pairing that happened. So the video streaming service right now, they are in early stages, whatever that means. I don't know if that's, they're putting together a pilot, a pitch, who knows what that is, of developing this live action series that will be based on The Legend of Zelda. They're describing it as a Game of Thrones for a family audience. So they're looking for writers right now to work on this show, which will be set in Hyrule, assumably. The report says that Zelda's about a boy named Link who has to rescue Princess Zelda. I think that is actually a leap to assume that the show would even necessarily have Link and Zelda in it. Hear me out here for a minute. But anyhow, moving on with the story, these Zelda games, of course, have the sword and sorcery like something like Game of Thrones, like Lord of the Rings, but this could be something that they could gear towards the whole family. Netflix reportedly is working closely with Nintendo And, of course, Legend of Zelda originally premiered in 1987, but we all know there was the animated Zelda that ran on Fridays during the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. We all know about the 93 Nintendo Super Mario Bros. Movie, which has made Nintendo very wary to work with anybody else. So we don't know what's going on with this because, of course, Netflix isn't confirming it, and Nintendo will not comment on rumors or speculation. So for all we know, this could be something where Netflix wants to do this and is readying the pitch for Nintendo, but isn't even there yet. I mean, we just don't know where this is at. So it is way too soon to talk about who are they going to cast as Link? Who are they going to cast as Zelda? Is Loki going to be Tingle? Like, we can't... Did you like that Twitter campaign I started, by the way? You like that?
If it pays well, fine. I'll do it. I like her.
Oh, that's a change of heart. That's a change.
Hey, it's money. Hey, whatever. Money and whatever. I'm fine.
So
I'll don the spandex for that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with this, if it's even really something real, but certainly a lot of people are talking about it. And with the Wall Street Journal running it, I think this at least confirms. It sounds like their source is inside Netflix, so it sounds like Netflix is definitely plotting something. But, I mean, that could even be something that's inspired by Zelda, but isn't necessarily going to be using the Zelda IP. I mean, there's just a lot of ideas on what this could really be. I have a lot of questions about this. Now, assuming that Nintendo and Netflix have reached an arrangement, that just starts this whole other line of thought. Like, A, how on earth did Netflix convince Nintendo to let them do this? I mean, this is so huge. And, you know, Nintendo's been burned with some of this stuff in the past. I mean, and we see Jason in the chat, JasonXV, over at live.vognetwork.com says, was the Mario movie explicitly stated as a source of strife like that? It has in the past, Jason, yes. And Jason says, and not the CDI Nintendo stuff? That has too, actually. But I think more people know the movie than know the CDI games. So when the Wall Street Journal, which is a more mainstream thing, runs it.
That was just there was a lot of bad movies in that time, and just because it happened to be a Mario movie doesn't mean it was bad because it was bad because it was in that time frame where there's a lot of bad, cheesy movies that came out.
Sure. And I kind of go, it's still interesting to me that Nintendo would be working with an American company like that, Netflix. Like, what does this arrangement entail? And I'm going to get super tinfoil hatty here, but this is what we do sometimes, is we, you know, kind of make predictions and try to figure out where things could be going. I mean, where Netflix does make a lot of sense. Netflix is a power player in why people buy these gaming consoles in the first place, because gaming consoles are not necessarily gaming consoles anymore. They're living room box entertainment devices. I mean,
shaking my fist at clouds.
Why is that?
Because I think they should just be gaming consoles, but shaking my fist at clouds.
Oh, that's where we're at now. I mean, more people watch Netflix on the Wii.
I have no problem with
else.
getting more value out of my purchase.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just me.
I don't hate the fact that game consoles want to be more, and I get why they want to do it, but certainly I don't want them to ever lose sight of the games. And I think maybe that would be the concern why you don't want them to dip into all this other stuff. But anyway, I digress. So it kind of makes me wonder, could there be some really weird arrangement where Netflix is doing this for Nintendo because Nintendo's going to get something out of Netflix that could possibly make the Wii U, the 3DS, or the Wii U's successor the must-have entertainment box the way the Wii was? Now, note, I don't think for a minute this means that Netflix would like disappear from PlayStation or Xbox. That's not what I think at all. That would just be shooting themselves in the foot. But could the next evolution of Netflix be something that's a little more unique to the Wii U's successor?
No.
Could this be the beginning of a partnership?
I
You
don't
don't
think
think
so.
You think I'm being too tinfoil hat? Why?
Yeah. Why? Because I think they're just licensing their property to have it being made into a show. I think it's more beneficial for Netflix to have something to compete with Game of Thrones than it is for Nintendo to have a show for Zelda.
Netflix jumping on this, I'm not questioning at all. They'd be stupid not to. Nintendo jumping in on this is where I have all the questions. That's the part that doesn't make sense. What does Nintendo have to gain from this?
They make money in licensing. Because if it
but they
blows
could have done
up,
that 15 years
yeah,
ago.
but if it blows up like Game of Thrones did, I mean, they could make a ton of money on that. That's really what they want to I mean, I think that's what they want to do. They want to make as little effort to make money as possible.
Let's see. Bobby Blackwolf points out Sky 3DS Netflix gets 3D movies. I actually forgot about that. I think that 3D supposedly anyway is on its way out. So I don't think 3D is really. Well, I shouldn't say that to the man who loves the Oculus Rift. But you know what I mean? Like 3D TVs.
It's not on its way out. It's just gonna be dormant for a while until VR and that kind of stuff takes over.
It's evolving.
And basically, you're gonna have that kind of content when that stuff takes is more popular and mainstream, I think, because asking someone to buy a 3D TV is kind of ridiculous.
Bobby was throwing that out there as a possibility, not something where they don't have 3D movies yet. Just that's a possibility of something that could happen. Saying we'll get 3D movies on the 3DS client if we can get a TV show from you. Well, I mean, maybe there would be. What about? And this is where my head was going. There's a really underutilized feature on the Wii U that I bet half the owners out there don't even remember that this is a thing on their Wii U. But there's a feature called TV, where that Wii U gamepad will function as a remote control for your TV. Big deal, right? But then you can also, with big epic, TV shows and like sports games, you can do like a special Miiverse chat room type thing that allows you to have TV watching be a little bit more of a social experience. And for whatever reason, Nintendo doesn't really hype this up or promote it. But I was thinking, a lot of people were upset when they removed the party feature from Netflix on the Xbox 360. I don't know if that was a licensing thing or what this thing could be. But maybe, especially now that Netflix is dabbling in all their own original series, especially one that could be based around The Legend of Zelda, could there be a social watching experience? Could parties be coming back to a Nintendo platform is what I'm saying.
I see that as, it's cool. It's a neat feature and a plus, but it's not a plus. It's like, oh my God, I have to buy that console. That's the thing is I just don't see what they could possibly do that would make me have to buy this console because, X feature is on there from Netflix. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's more of making money from licensing this, property and having Netflix run with it and make it into something that's really good. And it's a plus for Netflix because they have something that competes with all the people that want to watch Game of Thrones and have HBO.
You might convince me of what you're saying if it was Nintendo would rather do this than make a mobile phone Mario. And that I would believe.
Don't count anything out yet.
Maybe investor pressure. I don't know. Let's see. Looking at other comments from chat, that retro code in chat says, would have been better if Sony had done God of War with Netflix? Well, see, here's the interesting thing, though. See, with Sony is such a big company. Sony makes TVs, for God's sake. Sony also has their own entertainment arm. So everything that they do is in-house. And they have this whole Powers thing that they're doing that's going to be on the PlayStation. And they've done it all in-house. Microsoft was taking a very similar approach. They had founded their own entertainment studios that then they closed soon after that without producing a whole lot of stuff. I mean, there was that documentary, which is apparently pretty good. I still need to watch it. There's still that Quantum Break series. Something's going to happen with that. So Microsoft, for all practical purposes, was kind of trying to do their own thing. But maybe a partnership like this is in Microsoft's future. Who knows? Maybe after Nintendo saw what happened to Microsoft, Nintendo was like, we should partner up with somebody. Not that I think Nintendo would have ever produced something like this themselves. I don't know. But then I think about those Pikmin movies that Miyamoto did for the film festival. So couldn't it? I don't know. It's so confusing. There's no easy answer. This could all just be a big pile of poo, too. This could all just be the biggest fucking rumor ever. And, I mean, not to... obviously if the Wall Street Journal is running it, I put a little bit of credit in that. But maybe people are just making a bigger deal out of it than it really is. And
kind of go back to what's...
This could be a pitch pilot for Netflix, and that's it.
Well, and they kind of go back to also, Sony making stuff out of their properties. I mean, you have the Ratchet and Clank movie coming out, and you've also got... There was another one, too, that they were doing. God, I don't even remember what it was now. Maybe was it Uncharted? Were they doing an Uncharted movie? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I heard them say they were in the early stages of that. Because wasn't what's his name? I'm mixing it up with Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed. There's a ton of video game movies coming out. And eventually they'll get better. I mean, they're not going to screw up. It's impossible for them to screw up.
Eventually, they've got to make a good video game
It's
movie.
impossible for them to screw up every single one. Eventually, they're going to have to accidentally do it right.
The monkey at the typewriter will write Shakespeare eventually. It's going to happen eventually. Let's see. Dark Sakura, before we get into Gaming Weeks, what are your thoughts on a Zelda TV show? Is this of interest to you at all? Or
As long as it's not like Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. Because I really don't care much for medieval politics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that it would really get into... I mean, if it's supposed to be a family-friendly show, I think a lot of things they do on Game of Thrones...
No sleeping with your sister.
Yeah, you can't really do any of that. But I think it also opens the possibility that what if the show is just Hyrule? What if these are all characters that exist?
Real Wives of Hyrule.
For all we know, who says Link and Zelda have to be in it at all?
It's all about Impa.
Oh,
Impa being badass.
It could be something set in the Zelda universe, then maybe that would be something where Nintendo's a little more willing to let it go. It'll be like Gotham.
Rob.
What?
That would be sad. But by the way, I do have something else to talk about.
What's that?
If you don't mind giving me half a moment.
Sure, but can I do some comments from chat real quick? Over at live.vognetwork.com, just the last few comments on this. That retro code in chat says, if it is a rumor, it gained a lot of attention than anything Sony and Microsoft have done with their shows. VXJasonXV says, it won't be like Game of Thrones, less sex and nudity. William Murderface suggests Hyrule Shore. GTL, Jim Triforce Laundry. I don't know. Let's see. Dungeon Buster says, medieval politicking with the Lannisters does not equal family friendly. You know, I think you guys might be taking the Game of Thrones comparisons a little too literally. I think that's just, they see that audience is out there for medieval fantasy,
Rob,
like Lord of the Rings and
we
Game
don't
of Thrones.
need Chair of Master Swords.
All right. Before we get into Gaming Weeks, you have some things you want to talk about too, Jamie.
Yes. Now, there is a game out there that I have known about it being built for a few years now, and now it is finally released. It's done by a good friend of mine who I worked as his intern for a while, and he's one of my teachers, and a couple other friends of mine have contributed on design, but it's called Flom. Flomm. You can get it on the App Store now. It's for iOS, both iPhone and iPad. And it's based in art history, typography, and the battle for modern art. So
this is really funny to me because when we were pitching ideas for the VOG Jam a couple months ago, remember A Buggy Game 1, you had suggested we should do a game that involves like typography and art. So it sounds like you kind of got your game after all. It's just not really a part of the VOG Jam.
Maybe it was
but
a tease.
And it was one of your teachers that did it, but...
But you just actually, if you go on Google and look for Flomm, Flomm, you'll find it right away. Check out the artwork in it; it's amazing. The music's cool. It's $2.99, but honestly, for all the work that went into it and how awesome it is, it's totally worth it. So everyone, you've got $3 somewhere in your pocket. Go get Flomm.
All right.
And who knows? Maybe I can get Steve to come on the show.
All right. If enough people download it and say they want him
to
come on the show, we'll make that happen.
Do the thing.
All right. Cool. Very cool. Well, let's talk about our gaming weeks. I know you have not had enough time to play that all week because that just came out. So how was your gaming week and what types of video games have you been playing this week otherwise, Jamie?
Dragon Age.
Lots of Dragon Age.
Really?
DAI, I'm assuming?
Die. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Dragon Age, but I've mostly been writing a lot of Dragon Age.
And you still haven't left the hinterlands.
Yes, I have. Well, no, we keep going back to the hinterlands because I've decided that because I missed Solazan the last time around, I'm actually going to get all the stupid shards to finish that, and then I don't know, and I'm romancing Cullen with my human, with her weird face. Mm-hmm. I'll show everybody pictures of her weird face when I find them.
Over in our chat room.
It's not weird, she's just unique. She kind of looks like inbred nobility.
Only you would sit there and think about these types of things as you're making the character. Like,
I have to make her authentic.
For my RP to work, I'm going to need her to be slightly inbred.
Well, hello, aren't all nobles inbred? Inbred worse than
I don't know if I would say
cousins.
all. That could be a very slanderous statement.
Okay. They're just...
History is fascinating. Let's just leave it at that.
To quote Eddie Izzard.
History is fascinating.
To quote Eddie Izzard, they're all a bit frumpy, aren't they? Because it's a bad idea when cousins marry.
All right. Let's move on to Loki. How was your gaming week?
My game week was okay. I did play, one thing. I finished playing, was it Saints Row Got Out of Hell? I 100%ed in-game. I haven't gotten all the trophies yet, but I don't know if I'm going to, just because it's now it's doing all the tedious shit that they want you to do in the game, like drive for like 3,000 miles or something like that. It's like, why would you drive any car when you can fly through the entire game? It's like, I don't understand that, but okay, that's one of the things I have to do. Or play co-op for 3 hours in this game. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm done with the game, so I don't know if I'm really going to play any further with that. I did download the Battlefield Hardline beta today, so I'm going to probably check that out because that looks right up my alley. What else did I play this week? I don't know. I thought about playing Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto, but I just didn't get around to it. Just worked at my game mostly, so hopefully we'll have that to something more playable, because right now I just have kind of the first level and it's more of an intro. It doesn't really have anything. It's but once I get the whole,
once you get the engine built, then
I got the front,
then you get to do the stuff you've been wanting to do since the very beginning.
Oh, I got all sorts of crazy ideas.
I know you do.
That'll be fun. I'll have to do that. And once again, as mentioned, big thanks to Raccoon Media for the art assets and stuff. And I haven't created some of my stuff, but yeah, you can check out their stuff. They've got a lot of free packs out there, especially if you're like looking to make like mobile games or even just regular games. Was it raccoon-media.nl is their website, and I think they're on Blend Swap and the Asset Store, and there's one other one, but I don't remember.
I'm the only one without something to pitch tonight.
I'm sorry. He asked me. They asked me the pitches.
These are all good reasons.
I had, I feel indebted with low poly bacon.
He gave you free bacon. The man gave you free bacon.
He gave me bacon over the internet. That's like we're now living in the future.
I understand. So. I understand. You don't have to convince me. It's fine.
But that's what I played. So hopefully, I may play something else this week. I did install a few more games I had in my Steam backlog and bought more. Why? I don't know. I bought the Star Wars Humble Bundle.
You're never going to play it. You're
never going to play it. I know I'm never going to play it.
You don't have the hours to play those games. You don't have them.
I'm never. It's like
they do not exist.
I'm like a hoarder. Seriously, it's like hoarding, except it's all digital, so it doesn't make any of the mess. But yes, it's seriously the problem right there.
How many games in your collection have you still not played?
Most of them. I don't know. I have a lot. I haven't even installed the new ones I just got today, or added to. I haven't even added them into my library yet, but I've got 335 games already in my library. I don't know. Non-game playing related, I did see some leaked screenshots from Just Cause 3, and I totally have to buy that day one now because it looks amazing.
That's it. All right. Someday we're gonna see you on one of those like TLC shows about hoarding.
Someday I'm gonna look back and see how much I actually spent on my Steam library after a long time. I'm like, oh my god, what was I doing?
At least with Humble Bundle, at least you can donate it to charity. So it's like a little. I have to be a lot less judgy with that.
And the thing is, like a lot of the games I'm getting, it's just like 10 games for $11 and stuff. I mean, it's hard to kind of just like. I may play it someday, but it's $1.
Okay, but sometimes that also. I'm not saying this with a Humble Bundle. I'm not saying this about Star Wars games, but I'm just saying sometimes you can also get like, you remember like they would have the NES cartridges. It's like 96 ROMs in one, and like 54 of them are just like palette swaps on Clue Land. Like, not every game is something you have to have.
Worth it.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
But I do. And no,
you don't.
Here's the worst part. It's starting to get like that on PlayStation Network too, and that.
Oh my god. I want to have a show. Okay, this is my pitch to TLC. Are you out there? Is somebody from TLC listening to the show? This is my pitch. Okay, it's just like they do. You've seen Hoarders. Surely you've all seen that show, right?
I haven't really.
Okay, and they go and they clean the person's house or whatever, and the person has to like one little pile at a time decide: do I really need this? or should I throw it away? And like there's always some like crumpled up piece of garbage that the person just loses their fucking mind over because they can't throw it away, right? This is just, and I shouldn't make light of an illness, and I'm not, but I mean, it's television and they are putting themselves on TV. So, but Loki, I feel like there should be a show where you're forced to sit there with your Steam collection and like the host comes in and says, okay, Loki, you have 750 games in your Steam collection. Today we're going to cut that down to 50. And I need you to pick which 710 games are we going to delete forever.
What if
What?
Loki's games are so wildly popular that he becomes the next Andy Warhol of video games? You've seen what that man collected. A warehouse full of multiples of plates and lunchboxes and trash cans, and he would never let any of his staff throw anything away. They had to sneak out the trash when he wasn't there. What if...
I'm not that bad. We're talking digital games here to take no space. If it was like physical games, then yeah, that might be a problem because I have to move that stuff around.
I don't know anything about that.
It's in the cloud.
I don't know anything about physical games that we keep in storage at Dan's mom's house.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I mean, again, I said I shouldn't make light of this, but I kind of grew up around this because my dad kind of has these like hoarding tendencies, and like our garage was just full of like weird stuff. Like there would be pens that no longer work that would be in a jar. Like these are just things that, you know, my dad just happens to collect. And I remember, I will never forget this. Do you remember when the big flood happened in the 90s and
No.
Bill Clinton came to visit? Well, you weren't here at the time. You probably heard about it in the news. Bill Clinton, who was the president at the time, came to visit and all this stuff. So it was a big flood. Now, our garage flooded during that whole thing. So my dad was devastated because a lot of his stuff got damaged. Well, I remember one day we were out there cleaning and trying to sort, like, you know, what do we have to put in the dumpster because it's wet and gone forever. And there was a big pile of dry stuff. And my mom looks at it and goes, Rob, I'm going to send your father into the house. Rob, I want you to get the hose. And I want you to spray this all down. I shouldn't tell that story on my radio show, but damn, I mean, these are just the stories that shape the person that I am today. So, you know, there you go.
I will eventually play all these games once I have enough free time. So if someone takes the kids for like maybe a few years, then we'll have enough time to play through all these games.
Once you're saving for retirement is what you're doing.
Oh yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyhow, before I tell more stories from my childhood, I should probably get into my gaming week and the types of video games that I have been playing this week. A lot of the same old standard standby stuff. I played some, Diablo 3. Been a lot of that, especially with the season ending. There's been a lot of stuff going on with Diablo 3. I'm looking forward to the next season soon. I've been playing a bit on PlayStation 4 as well because, like I said at the beginning of the year, I want to go after my Platinum Trophy. So I started a new character, and things are going well there. I've also been playing more Fantasy Life because I got some more street passes over the weekend. That was pretty cool to finally see like new people show up in my village, and that's kind of neat. I like what they do with that in Fantasy Life. But besides the good old standards that I've been playing from week to week on this show, I got to play a lot of good old games over the weekend because I went to an event that we talked about a couple weeks ago on the show. I went to the Rockage event in San Jose, which some people were lovingly calling, and I saw this on some of the street passes I got, some people were lovingly calling it Mag West because, of course, as we talked about with Eric on the show a couple weeks ago when he was here, we talked about how MagFest is now sponsoring this fourth year of the Rockage event in San Jose. So basically at the San Jose Student Union, they had the whole second floor, and I think they were running some tabletop on the first floor as well, but they had the whole second floor of the Student Union kind of sealed off where, you get your admission wristband and you get in, and you have access to basically three main areas. You have kind of the foyer area, and then you have the lounge stage, and then you have the main stage. And in the main stage, they had some bands playing on and off throughout the day, and they also had a collection of classic video games that I believe a lot of that was borrowed from the California Extreme event that they do here over the summer. So they had some classic games from the 80s. I got to play some Tempest, Wizard of War. They had a Tron arcade machine, so that was awesome. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw that I got the #1 score on Qbert, and so I put in VOG as the initials there because F yeah, Qbert. And there was a Point Blank 2 that was awesome to play too. So there's a lot of like really cool retro arcade games and pinball games. And I did not realize this was a thing, Dark Sakura. But there was, and now that I think about it, maybe you have mentioned this on the show before, but I just never seen it. But they had a Medieval Madness table, and they had a Tales of Arabian Nights table. But the dot matrix displays were in color. Like they were modded to be color displays. And I didn't know that was a thing people did.
Yeah, you can get color LEDs and whatnot.
I never knew that was a thing. I'd never seen one. So that was really cool.
There's lots of like mods people. Well, people who actually will buy kits to do certain things, like with the newer tables too. Huh. Like, well, Dan has I think a small mod on our Twilight Zone, and then for newer ones, I showed you the pictures I took of a modded Tron that has like the arcade cabinet on it and the extra lights and whatnot. So yeah, people do it all the time.
So, so I just, maybe it's because I haven't been to California Extreme in a few years, but I was like, oh, neat. So they had that, and then they had classic consoles kind of around the perimeter of the main stage room, and then they had a lounge room that was a smaller room, and they tried to make it a little more, well, loungy. And no, it wasn't an orange lounge, I'm sorry to say, but maybe we need to talk about that for next year. But anyway, they also had some classic consoles in there. So I got to play, like I got my Mario Kart 64 on, which, man, going from playing Mario Kart 8 all the way back to playing Mario Kart 64, like, I forget that not all the tricks work and you can't drift the same way. But anyway, it was still fun to go back and revisit that. So, also, this is neat. Out in the lobby area, they actually had, and I had yet to see one of these, they had a Beatmania 2DX Pendule, I think the name of the mix is, number 22 in the series. I had not seen one that new. I've never seen a screen that crisp. I think it's on one of the new HD monitors. So I was like, wow, that's kind of neat because that was on free play. And then they had a new DDR, like the reboot of Dance Dance Revolution. They had that sitting right next to it. Now, I didn't embarrass myself by playing that in public because, you know, I talked about playing DDR last week and how easy I broke a sweat. But I watched some other girls playing it and watching some other people kind of rotate throughout the day. And I was like, oh, neat. You know, it has an interface that kind of reminds me of the Xbox games a little more. It was just kind of neat to see that, a little different. And they had some vendor tables, a lot of people dealing in classic games. And then they actually had a third area for people to do music, too, that was kind of off in the corner. So you'd have a lot more of the smaller rigs that would go over there. So, yeah, it was music and it was games. It was kind of like a little piece of a lot of conventions I've been to in the past year or so, kind of all hodgepodge together into this one thing. And that was pretty cool. I had a good time. It's a 3-day event, and sadly I was only able to spend half a day there because I just, I'm trying to do the event is still going as we speak, and I wanted to be here at OLR for you all, and I had to drive to San Jose to get to this thing, and I had my job, so I could only get there for a half day, but I had a good time for the time I was there. I wish I could have brought somebody else. Next year I'm going to have to really berate Jamie into going with me if she's not working, because it would have been nice to be able to play games together with somebody or something. Because I would have liked to have gone rather than what I was doing. Well, maybe next year we'll plan better. We didn't have a lot of notice this year, but I would definitely attend again next year. I had a good time. So and I have a feeling this event is going to just get bigger and bigger. I have a feeling they're going to already outgrow this space, and next year they're going to look at something bigger. It wasn't super crowded in the morning when I was there Saturday. In fact, I was kind of thinking like, wow, I'm surprised there's not a lot of people here. But then I started to think, I was like, people are probably still hungover from last night. So I waited a little while, and sure enough, as the day went on, it started to get pretty full, and you couldn't even really get on one of the classic arcade games without a wait. So I think they did a good job attendance-wise. I hope it was good enough to get the venue paid for and all that good stuff so they can get an even bigger spot next year. But yeah, I had a good time at the Rockage event, so congrats to all those responsible for putting it on, and very talented musicians. I wish I could have seen more. Just unfortunately, again, I can only be there for a half day, and I can't be at all 3 stages at once, but I really enjoyed some of the stuff I was watching. Dude, this one band, and I'm so sorry, I forgot the name of the band, I'm so sorry, but they were rocking, they were playing songs using an accordion, a saxophone. They had a freaking, I don't know if it was I think it was a marimba up on stage. Like, they were just doing all this, like, crazy.
Was there a zither?
I don't think so. But then
did you find a theremin?
No, there was no theremin. Well, not that I saw that. I'm not saying there wasn't one there, but there just wasn't the one there when I was looking.
Did you find someone playing a melodica?
Probably.
Melodicas are awesome.
So anyway, I'm sure I'm sure they're coming back next year. And I got to say, there's several listeners out there that have said, Rob, you really need to come to MagFest. You need to come to MagFest. When are you going to come to MagFest? And I got to be thinking, after going to Rockage, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I probably should go to MagFest. So I'm not saying yes to next year yet, but I'm saying I'm thinking about it more seriously than I ever have before. So there you go. SSG 100 Matt in our chat says, Rockage was your taste of MagFest. Now you have to come to the real thing. It's just cost, flights, all that. That's the only thing stopping me. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying no at this point. We'll see what happens. So that was my gaming week and weekend thereof. So, quickly, some housekeeping. I don't have a whole lot to report. I will just say twitter.com/OLR is where you can follow us on Twitter. Facebook.com/orangeloungeradio is where you can follow us on Facebook. I mentioned we may be missing a show in March. I'm not sure if that is sure yet. I will have an update for you guys, hopefully, next week. Unfortunately, I am having to play a little bit of a waiting game, which is frustrating to say the least, but we'll find out for you next week, or at least I'll make a decision by then, that's for sure. All right, so that's it for housekeeping. Let's go into some gaming news for the night. Kind of been an interesting week in gaming news. There hasn't been a lot of it, but there's been some interesting things here and there. Loki.
Yeah. So apparently the release date for Street Fighter 4 on PC and PlayStation 4 has been revealed. It's supposed to be coming out. I'll have the exact date here real quick. March 2016. So that's when it's kind of slated. At least right now. At least they're thinking ahead. So we'll have to see then. They're saying, though, that the roster of characters may be pretty small, leaving room for DLC. Almost sounds like kind of a hybrid version of how they did Killer Instinct, where everything was almost a la carte. But I guess we'll have to see who actually ends up being in the launch roster. They're saying that it's going to be 16 characters. And I don't know. I'm just not that excited about Street Fighter really anymore. I mean, because I have to see what really the benefits are between Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. I don't know. For me, it's just characters, actually.
Yeah, the fact that it's going back to a roster of 16 characters, it concerns me a little bit. It does feel like a step backwards when and I realize some of the more people that are tuned into the fighting game community and series may argue with me a little bit on this because, if the technique and the game and all this is improving, then they're not going to possibly be able to fit as many characters as Street Fighter Uber Edition
Here's
had.
the thing. All I'm thinking is what they did with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where it's like, yeah, I mean, they had a pretty decent roster with that, but then, oh, hey, you want DLC characters? Those are going to be $5 each. It's like...
That's a legitimate concern. I think in the year 2015, that's a very legitimate concern to have about the game. And I hope to God there isn't a bunch of them that are already on the disc. I would think if they're going to release it on PC, they're not dumb enough to do that, because if it's on the PC disc, it'll be found like that, right? So I'm thinking that won't happen. But I have that same concern, and I think it's legitimate that you have 16 characters for now, but then it's going to be 16 more characters that slowly come out throughout the year that are $5 each. And maybe that won't be the case, which is fine. I would just kind of like some clarity on that. I think some DLC characters are inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the age we live in, but... And then I'm sure that we'll get a million. And that's the other thing, too, is like, why should I really buy the DLC characters when, Super Street Fighter 5 or
Right.
Arcade Edition, Turbo, whatever the hell you want to, re-release it as, it's going to come out with those characters and then additional characters.
And that's what SSG 100 Matt in our chat room says. So wait for Ultra or Super Street Fighter 5 in holiday 2016. So a lot of people are thinking if this game only releases with so many characters and they do all these DLC characters, yeah, I'll just wait. I'll just wait for the year-end edition or what have you.
Yeah.
So I would like to hear more about the game mechanics and, why maybe the roster will be less. I know in the case of like Mortal Kombat X, I think that game is supposed to have a smaller roster too. I think it's 24, I think, in Mortal Kombat X. I might be wrong. But the thing with Mortal Kombat X is that each character is supposed to have like 3 different fighting styles, I think.
Yeah.
So even though you have only 24 characters, you have all these fighting styles too.
Yeah, so like 72 characters. Almost.
Right. But not to give one a pass where I'm not going to give the other a pass, because I'm sure it's inevitable that a Mortal Kombat X will have DLC characters. Why not? They did it with the last game. So it's just a question of, all right, how many, and should I just wait for the Ultimate Mortal Kombat X edition for that? Let's see. That retro code in our chat over at live.vognetwork.com says, I'm kind of over Street Fighter, even though Sony got the exclusive on it. I'm seeing certainly there's a lot of people that are very excited about it. I mean, the fighting game community, of course. I'm kind of curious how they're going to sell it to everybody else. Maybe people that aren't like super tuned into the fighting game community and all those events and things. How are they going to sell it to the rest of us? Because, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, whether you want to agree with me or not. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that are going to look at it and go, why would I buy this game that only has 16 people when I could buy this one that has 50 people in it? I mean, for some people, it's going to come down to that, whether you want to admit it or not. I mean, obviously, a fighting game superfan will be able to rattle off a list of reasons why that's wrong. But somebody who's just looking at the back of the box in a GameStop that isn't as tuned in,
I don't know. It's just like, for me, like the difference between like when they went and did, Street Fighter 4, which, style-wise, that was, completely different than what they had previously, how it kind of went all 3D and everything, but it's still 2D. But now 5, the evolution from 4 to 5 doesn't seem as big. Now, I understand there's probably going to be a lot of stuff gameplay-wise, tweaks and that kind of thing, but for me, a person that's not, super into fighting games, I don't notice that. I just notice what it looks like, the roster of characters, and is there's anybody in there that, kind of hooks me into the game, and I'm not really seeing that yet. I mean, there's some gameplay things that they're doing that are kind of neat, but it's just, more of like, oh, that's kind of cool, other than like, oh, wow, I got to really play that. So, I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, let's see. Moving on. Talking about something else that happened this week with Nintendo over in their camp. Club Nintendo's being phased out. We don't know what the replacement program looks like yet, but seeing as Club Nintendo as it is, I believe is fading out, in June? I think you have until June to cash out on this stuff. It would make sense that the successor program will be unveiled during E3. Obviously, we don't know that for a fact, but it would make an awful lot of sense, wouldn't it? Well, anyway, Club Nintendo went through an update, as I mentioned this week, where there's a lot of stuff available. It's kind of like a Hail Mary for the program where, if you've accumulated coins and you haven't spent them, there is plenty of stuff to spend it on now.
I'm calling it now. Exclusive Amiibos through whatever the replacement service is.
Perhaps, and there's something coming up in the show later where that may actually exactly be the case, but who knows? But, I mean, there are just virtual console games galore, as well as even some full game downloads that aren't like virtual console, like Harmonite for 3DS I saw on there, Dr. Mario on Wii U, even some retail titles were available on there. And, of course, some of that sweet Nintendo physical gear that I know a lot of you are wanting to get your hands on. For example, there's a Zelda Majora's Mask messenger bag, also a Majora's Mask jigsaw puzzle, which will set you back 800 coins. There's a Retro Mario t-shirt for 700 coins, a Legend of Zelda 3DS XL pouch, and Animal Crossing playing cards for 600 coins. So, I mean, that's kind of cool that they have, like, not just the vast amount of virtual console games, but all these physical rewards. So they want to make sure people are going to flush out their coins and everything will be spent. Here's the only problem. This launched, Monday? Tuesday is when this all went down? The website has been getting hammered consistently ever since. Here I am, days after the fact. I'm even trying to load the page right now in studio. Just spinning wheel, trying to get it to come up, waiting. I got it to come up earlier, but I couldn't log in to my computer. Like, this is like several days after the fact, and this is still broken. And so there's a part of me that's like, this is why everybody says Nintendo doesn't understand online.
Because they demonstrate that they don't understand online.
Now, on one hand, Nintendo's really under no obligation to do Club Nintendo in the first place. I mean, it is a nice thing that they do. They do get some things out of it for all those little product surveys that you do and so forth. I mean, that is information that Nintendo may otherwise have to pay some other type of outside firm to gather. So it's not that Nintendo doesn't get anything out of it. But for all practical purposes, they're under no obligation to do anything like Club Nintendo in the first place. They're really not. So, I mean, even if Club Nintendo didn't exist, you can't get that upset. However, it is still frustrating with as fanboy-y as a lot of Nintendo people get, as we've seen through this whole Amiibo fuckery. It is really annoying when this stuff is being dangled in front of you and you know it's going to get snapped up and disappear like that, but you're sitting there literally watching paint dry. You're watching that spinning circle trying to connect to this website because Nintendo doesn't have a queue system like Blizzard does when BlizzCon tickets go on sale or something like that. Nintendo is not that progressed online in their website development where they have some type of system to be able to handle the load that Nintendo ought to expect by now when they're going to offer basically a free, essentially, Majora's Mask messenger bag. I mean, really? You didn't think the site was going to get hammered right away? I don't know. So here we are all these days later. Oh, it finally loaded. Hey, maybe all that complaining worked. Finally loaded. Now I just have to log in, and maybe I can spend some coins. Maybe. Ugh. Anyway. VX Jason in chat says, they demonstrate they don't understand online. Really? Counterpoint, every new MMO ever. Blizzard doesn't know online? Really? MMO online connected game. I didn't say Blizzard doesn't know online, but Blizzard isn't immune to some of these problems with their own games. However, with things on the web like BlizzCon and so forth, they actually do. I mean, there have been years in the past that haven't worked out so well. But for right now, they have a system that's kind of worked. I mean, they have the queuing system, and you queue to buy everything in the store, and it works out for the BlizzCon stuff. So I actually think in regards to selling things online, Blizzard does have it worked out right now. I would just expect 5 days after the fact Nintendo would have it a little more together. But again, technically, they're not under any obligation to even talk about it or to give this stuff away in the first place.
Just like I'm under no obligation to buy their damn system.
I guess that's true. All right. VidPower in chat says the servers for Mario Kart 8 and Smash 4 online play didn't die on day one. How come their Club Nintendo site is down for a week? And Rama follows that up with different types of server. And yeah, that's probably the main point. They're probably completely different server farms wherever the game servers versus the web servers are. Still, whatever the technical reason for it, it ultimately doesn't matter. It's frustrating for the consumer at the end of the day. The specific reason why doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Anyhow, moving on. Dark Sakura.
Well, there is a game series that is well known for its interesting fashion choices on some of the male characters and proportions for its female characters, and that's Dead or Alive. Well, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round is going to be coming out on PC. And, Yosuke Hayashi was like, don't mod the game. Well, he's not saying don't mod the game, but he's afraid that modders are going to be doing immoral things with the game.
You don't say.
Immorality in Dead or Alive?
Please,
no.
Please,
You've seen the Street Fighter mods already.
That's classic coming from the studio that develops Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, which I'm sure is just a volleyball game and not some excuse to have the characters romp around in almost nothing and dressing them up and stuff like that. I'm sure that in no way do they mean to exploit any of the characters in the game. So
it's dress up dolls.
I'm sure that, I don't know. I'm sure that they haven't kind of provoked some sort of reaction from their fans based on, they know what the fans want, okay? And they're giving it to them, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. They will mod this so that they're nude. The same thing happened when Street Fighter 4 came out on PC. They modded that, and yes, there's new cami mods and stuff like that. So it's just going to happen.
Well, to go back to what I was saying, he was pretty happy about it coming out on Steam, but he did put out the warning to the PC modding community. And basically, I'm just going to read the quote. We have to deal with mod issues from an IP holder perspective. We would like to ask PC users to play our game in good moral and manner. Otherwise, we won't be able to release a title for PC again. That hasn't stopped Capcom, first of all. Capcom keeps pumping them out. And I do understand he is appealing to an entire group out there because you have this objectification or this extreme, I'm going to say extreme fashion taste in the game, and it is, however, the way that they've branded it to be. It has their mark on it. It's what they control, and putting it out on PC, they're relinquishing a degree of control over their property. So I understand them wanting to put out a comment on that. At the same time, it just makes me think that when they put out that comment, they're really just opening the door for encouragement.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It can't be hacked. Watch.
The unfortunate reality of internet toilet bowl culture, of which we've seen a lot of it in the past year. The reality of this is that by making these comments, now it's a race to who can get the naked boobies first. Who can get the booby mod dud first. Now it's a race.
It'll be their day one. If the game comes out and has a woman in it, or even a man, there's going to be a nude patch for it.
I want dong mode. I want dong mode for the guys.
It will.
If you're going to mod the women, mod the guys too. That's all I ask.
Whatever your request, it will be there. But now it is a race to get it done first.
Well, at any rate, the game's going to be out on March 30th. So if you mod it, though, do OLR mods too. Like, we want our brand all over Kasabi's butt.
Yes.
We want it to be on Zach's tentacle head piece thing.
Brad from Pod Culture with an interesting suggestion in chat over at live.vognetwork.com. Maybe this is all a ploy. Reverse psychology. Gets folks talking about the game. Maybe they've already resigned themselves to the fact that this game's going to get modded. But what an awfully nice reminder to all those PC users to pre-order this game so you can get your boobies and your dongs day one.
I wonder, this is just a thought, and I'm trying to really think of how feasible it is because it would require the game to be online all the time. If basically what you have in-game are just blank models, and then when each round starts, download the texture, load it. But then again, that would require everyone be on high speed, and I think that would really be the only way around it. And then all it would do is just, basically people would just change coding anyway. But I'm trying to think of ways around that, how to make everybody happy.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Going to our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Fifth Dream in chat says, dongs require modeling. Nipples only require skins. Oh, now we're getting into the science of it. Well, you should be able to do ass. You should be able to do ass at least, right?
It's more difficult to do.
They've already fly cammed around Dragon Age to see if the men have bits.
Uh-huh.
They don't.
They're all Barbie dolls and Ken dolls?
Yeah.
But all the women have, fully complete boobs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfair.
No.
That's unfair. Some people need bulldog in their lives. That wouldn't be me, by the way. But still.
Just saying. You're just saying.
I'm just saying.
On behalf of those that need it. All right, moving on, Loki.
All right, so in kind of a 180, first they were striking down videos that had, modding stuff for Dying Light. Now Techland has said, hey, you know what? We're going to be actually releasing official mod tools, and sorry, we didn't mean to strike those down. So, I don't know. It's just surprising. Apparently, they were intent to stop the Be the Zombie mode hacks, or hacks in Be the Zombie mode, and they said they accidentally blocked modders from being able to tweak the game files. Okay, I'll take that. Whatever, that's fine, as long as they've fixed the problem in a short amount of time. So, good for them.
I haven't had a chance to check out this game yet. I've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
Yeah,
it wasn't really on my radar, but
I've been hearing a lot of good things about it as well. Just haven't really had a chance to pick it up, and I don't know if I will though, because I have still games I haven't played yet. So,
all right. Well, moving on to some controversy from earlier in the week, and this has to do with a League of Legends tournament. League of Legends tournament organizer in the Philippines, because remember, League of Legends is huge all over the world. Being the free-to-play game, this game is huge, not just in the U.S., but in a lot of Asian territories. So there's tournaments all the time in all sorts of places. So there's a League of Legends tournament organizer in the Philippines, and they were going to be doing an event and it was an all-feminine event called the Iron Solari, which, you kind of look at that and you go, okay, you're trying to appeal to get some more lady gamers out there, try to diversify the League of Legends audience. This is a good thing, right? Well, if you go to the website for, and I might be mispronouncing this, Garena, Philippines, and you look at the outlines there was a very interesting quote about their views on certain types of women that they wanted to limit as participating. And the quote goes like this, quote, "For any events we do, we always want to make sure we are able to have an inclusive environment where no one feels left out, and of course, for everybody to enjoy. On this angle, we believe that allowing more to be eligible to join us is obviously the answer, and as many of our female teams have expressed. On the other hand, for any competitions, we seriously look at ensuring there's a fair level playing field for all participants. And there are arguments and concerns from other participants who dispute that lesbian, gay, transgendered women members may probably have some unfair advantage." So what was written in the rules? That there would be a maximum of one gay or transgendered woman to participate on a team for a single day. So you can't swap somebody out for someone else or what have you. And as you can imagine, Tumblr didn't take to this very well, as they shouldn't. And a lot of Twitter and a lot of people were like, what?
Intelligent person shouldn't take to that very well.
They're basically, unfortunately, when you say a comment like this, you're essentially saying gay women and transgendered women are not women. That's the problem with what they said. That's essentially what they said. And you may not say, well, that's not what they said. Nah, that's the message they sent across when they said something like that. And that is wrong. And I would also like to know, how are they going to fucking know? Like, will there be an examination? Will there be a gaiety test? Will they be taking the teams to Home Depot and see who knows what to do? I'm kidding. Don't write your hate emails. But in all seriousness, like, how the fuck were they supposed to enforce something like this in the first place? And where the hell does a rule like this come from anyway?
Pen, like they validate those $100 bills. They just swipe it across and it changes colors. That's how they know.
They use litmus paper. Oh, you have a pH of -5. You're gay.
Is that why secret is pH balanced for a woman? I always wanted to know. All right, anyway, look. I'm joking. We're having fun with this. Don't get real mad. But
are you the gay?
But our point is, here's my question: is that my understanding is one of the top StarCraft 2 players out there is a transgendered woman. Am I correct in that? I'm almost positive. Maybe the chat room knows this, but I believe there's like a top-ranked StarCraft 2 player out there that I know of. In reality, there's probably more than one, but there's one that's coming to mind that happens to be a transgender female. Is this rule because of jealousy of said individual? Is that what this is? Because that's kind of what my reaction is to all this is that it's like jealousy or something? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck this is.
There are people out there who judge others based on what genitalia they have. Mm-hmm. End of story. Those people are called bigots. End of story.
Yeah. Could it be, I have to throw this out there because this is another country we're talking about. Could it be these cultural things coming into play that we're a little more progressed here in the States? I mean, we still have a long way to go, but we're more progressed here in the States with our viewpoints on some of these topics than maybe they are in the Philippines. Just throwing it out there. I mean, maybe that's something that's coming into play with this as well. So, anyhow, as you can imagine, the internet got real mad about this, as they should, and Riot Games ended up sending out a tweet pretty quick, same day. And Riot Games, who makes League of Legends, if you weren't aware, tweeted, "LGBT players are welcome at official League of Legends tourneys. We're working with our partners to ensure consistency with our values across all regions." And so Riot Games was pretty much came down and said, oh, hell no, they're not going to use our name with that kind of rule in a tournament, basically. And sure enough, this got switched around pretty darn fast. There was an update that came out where the restrictions were removed, and there was a more full response. But you can imagine it was a lot of apologizing. So there it is. Akuma JP in chat over at live.vognetwork.com says he replied, "Woof, he is gay." Alan Alchemy in chat says the cultural difference argument is kind of derailing, though, because even if it's true, it doesn't make it any less offensive. No, you're right, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's an acceptable excuse. I'm just trying to sit here and go, how on earth does a reasonable person think publishing that on the as a rule was a good idea? Like, how did they even think that this was something they could get away with? And I'm just
like,
thinking,
I'd expect this from Russia.
Yeah. Well, and there's a good. I hate to say it, but there's a good example of what I mean when I say the cultural differences. You would expect something like this out of Russia, but FYI, it doesn't make it right there either. All right. And Ragenator says, I wouldn't say that we're more progressed. Westboro Baptist Church, need I say more?
What have they done lately?
Well, I mean,
have people just finally stopped giving them attention?
Yeah, I think, but here's the thing about the Westboro Baptist Church is that for most people, again, though, the Westboro Baptist Church is the village idiot. Like, we kind of look at them and we laugh at them and go, oh, those idiots. They're so stupid. I mean, this is the price we pay for free speech, is some people are going to say some real stupid shit. Look at these guys. I think it's to the point where nobody takes those people seriously. Anybody that does is in the vast minority. And they have a right to say their thing, but we have a right to call them idiots because of it, which the Westboro Baptist Church are, in fact, idiots.
And for the record, the rule of free speech only relates to speaking out against the government in approved social forums. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean freedom of consequence.
That's right.
Someone can point their finger at you and point how big of an idiot you are, and put it out on public news, and people can, pull contracts away from you, what's his fuck name from Duck Dynasty, whoever that dumb shithead is. Mm-hmm. People can hold you accountable for what you say, and freedom of speech doesn't have jack shit to do with it.
No. So, anyway, at least it does make me happy. Like, on a personal note, obviously, I make it no secret on this program here that I happen to be a gay man who's, who loves video games just as much as you do, and does the show and so forth. And I got to say, though, like, I can see the change from when I was in high school. Like, high schoolers today, it's so different than it was when I was in high school. Like, not to be all like, get off my lawn and all that, but I mean, this comes from a place of, I am happy to see that in society today, Westboro Baptist Church are the idiots. They are mocked. They are the ones that any decent, reasonable human being looks at that and goes, they're stupid. Where, 20 years ago, it might not have been so much the majority. So I feel like as a society, we have come a long way. And I hope other parts of the world catch up real darn quick for the sake of people like me in those other places. Anyhow.
Ikuma JP says, OMG, Rob is gay. Get out.
No, it's my show. I'm staying right here. All right. Dark Sakura, what do you have for us on a hopefully a just better front?
Well, I do have something. Game Developers Conference will have the Indie Mega Booth Showcase. Woo! And this actually conference is on March 2nd through 6th at the Moscone Center in San Francisco, which we walked by many, 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 many times at GamerX, did we not? So there's going to be over 150 different indie game studios there. We'll be showing off a few different ones. There's going to be 15 demos as well, too. So I will go ahead and list those off. There's That Dragon Cancer, by Ryan Green and Josh Larson. Gemini by Echo Stone Games. I guess it's Machineers by Lohica Apps. Megaton Rainfall by Pentadimensional Games. Pillar by Michael Arts. Inside My Radio by Steven Studios. No Pineapple Left Behind by Subaltern Games. Push Me Pull You by House House. Okay, I just like a company called House House. House House. The Flock by
Jamie in the House.
The Flock by Vogelslap, which just makes me think we need now a little in-house studio called Vogslap.
Vog slap, baby Vog slap. Simpsons, anyone?
Legends of Ice Involved by Outer Ducks Entertainment. Mushroom 11 by Untame. Fate Tectonics by Golden Gear. That's a cool name. Tenertia by Candescent Games. Throw Trucks with Your Mind by Okay, I want that game right now. Latwire wins GDC. Throw Trucks with Your Mind. And then Extreme Exorcism by Golden Ruby Games.
I don't know. That one sounds kind of rad. It's not just exorcism, it's extreme exorcism.
What if like they put those two games together and it was like psychic ghost truck throwing exorcism Tergeist?
Loki, get on it.
Do the thing.
There literally are no ideas that are too crazy for my game. You'll just have to figure out how to do that.
That's it. I'm gonna combine all of these games. Well, at least a few of them. So we have Throw Dragons with Your Mind from pineapples that are possessed. There's my game. In a place called Eisenwald. The end.
Did you say you're going to just combine a bunch of video games together? You know what that makes me think of?
Rob. Do you know what we call people like you sometimes?
What?
Special snowflakes.
I do want to have a level like that, but I don't know. That's going to be kind of difficult to do.
I'm at the point where I like legitimately miss Katamari Damacy,
I do.
but then
Me too.
I don't know, but then I don't. I need them to just go back to their roots.
I miss Nobi Boy.
Just think though, what they could do with Katamari now that you can handle so many more particles and stuff on screen with like the new consoles. That'd be awesome.
I just wondered, has Girl reached Earth yet? Was I the only person constantly playing Nobi Boy on my phone?
Out of this crowd, yes.
I thought Girl was going away from...
No, Girl is supposed to be reaching Earth, I thought.
No, I thought she was going out further into the galaxy.
I don't know where Girl is. Right, I'm going to see where Girl is.
All right, you look her up. Let us know.
Girl, where are you?
Girl, where you at? Did Loki really say that?
No, you said that.
Oh my god, there actually is a thing called Nobi Stats. And Girl right now is at Uranus.
Good night, everybody. That's going to do it for another episode of Orange Lounge Radio. See you next week.
As of December.
Orange Lounge Radio.
All right, just kidding. All right.
And there is your Nobi Boy update.
Thank you. Let's travel around the world and check out some release dates and see what's coming to Uranus real soon.
That's just wrong.
Loki, would you like to start?
I guess if I must. Honestly, don't know what's coming out this week. I don't think anything is, actually, now that I think of it. Was Evolve around here or something? I have no idea. I'm going to say nothing.
Nothing's coming out?
I'm just going to say that.
Do you just make up the news now and just...
Don't we all?
All right, well, let's travel. Oh, you're right. Good point. Let's travel over to Japan and check
I'll
out...
let you know later on if something's actually coming out.
Let's go to Japan and see how much
I'm sorry,
longer
I'm
Girl's
just kidding.
getting.
I said I thought Evolved was coming out in
I was going to say, wasn't Evolve this week? Okay.
Yeah. It's
Well, I mean, technically you buy the game, but you're going to be continually buying this game in DLC form over the next 3 months, right?
Pretty much. So, I mean, yeah, that's kind of true. No, actually, I did lie. There are things coming out this week. I should forget that Nintendo is releasing a new 3DS. So, I mean, there's that, I guess. But, yes, the new 3DS will be coming out on Friday, as well as... some other games to go with that. But Evolve, yeah, they have that coming out on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. What else we got here? Majora's Mask on new 3DS. Or, well, I guess that's actual just regular 3DS. That's not a new 3DS only game, is it? No, can't be. They don't have any new 3DS only games right now, which is... another reason why would you buy a new 3DS?
Xenoblade in April, supposedly.
Supposedly? whatever. Okay, I don't need that. I think that's it. It's just pretty much. Let's see here. Yeah, that's it's pretty much just Evolve in the new 3DS.
All right, much better when you don't make it up, Logie. All right, traveling to Japan and looking at what's coming out
As far
of
as you're aware.
in Japan this week, Sengoku Musou 4-2 in a regular and treasure box. I don't know why it's 4-2. I guess that's like Final Fantasy 13-2.
I hear you like sequels, so here's a sequel for your sequel.
I think that's got to be what this is. But Sengoku Musou is Dynasty Warriors, right? So, for whatever reason, number 4 is getting a sequel. So there it is. That is coming out in Japan this week in regular and treasure box.
Maybe it's 42.
No, it's definitely 4-2. Anyhow, Lords of the Fallen also coming out this week in Japan. You can check that out. Over on the Xbox One, nothing this week in Japan, which, makes sense. On the PlayStation 3 this week in Japan, that same Sengoku Musou 4 Part 2 or whatever is out in Japan, as well as Rewrite. And Dead or Alive 5 is right around the corner in Japan. That's not this week, but next week. Looking at the Wii U, nothing in Japan for the Wii U until we get to Mario Party 10 in March. So nothing this coming week unless there's a digital release I'm not aware of yet. But on the Vita, there's a lot more to look forward to. You've got Sengoku Musou 4-2s there as well. Yukio no Ryoshi is there as well. And Gauken Heaven Boys Love Scramble is out as well on the PlayStation Vita. Last but not least, on the Nintendo 3DS this week in Japan, Nanatsu no Tazai Shinjitsu no Enzai comes out this week on the 3DS in Japan. There's also some new cover plates making their way to Japan this week, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D on Valentine's Day for your loved ones.
I was going to say Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate for 3DS will be coming out in the U.S. And, of course, we're not going to expect any of those faceplates since we don't get any faceplates.
I should actually play that demo since I've got it now.
I don't know. It seems like if you're not really into it, the Monster Hunter
I've never
series,
actually played any.
This one isn't going to win you over. Well, check it out then.
Yeah.
You might like it.
Well,
how about the UK?
We do have a few things. On the 11th is Unmechanical Extended on PS4 and PS3. And on the 13th, we have Lucius II, The Prophecy, and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D.
All right. Just a few more stories for you guys, and then the classic game of the week. But first, Loki.
Yes, unfortunately, don't have a good story for you, but this is kind of sad. I was kind of shocked when I heard about this. I was coming out of work, actually. And so Monty a guy who I always will remember as the guy that was behind some of the really awesome machinima videos that they had. Like Dead Fantasy was a series I loved from him, as well as Haloroid. He did the really awesome fight sequences. Also, of course, RWBY, which is a new
Ruby.
series. Yeah, and then that's actually on Netflix now. But unfortunately, Montium passed away. He passed away due to a severe allergic reaction during a simple medical procedure that left him in a coma. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to recover, and he passed away in the hospital. So it's unfortunate. He also worked on Red vs. Blue, and I don't know, just did a lot of good stuff for Rooster Teeth. So he was only 33 years old. On top of that, though, even a little bit more hitting home is he was, actually pretty good at freestyle in DDR and Pump It Up. So,
I was not aware of that.
So he actually has some videos out there for that. So. Unfortunate. It was funny. I had actually dreamed about working with this guy for my pitch for the new DDR game I had a while back, but unfortunately that'll never happen. So that's sad.
It's so hard to hear about this type of stuff, especially. Yeah. I mean, there was
he's only 33.
Well, and he's only 33. That's younger than me.
Yeah.
That's so. Just stunning to hear that, and especially if something that was really, just sounds like it was complications from
an allergic reaction.
That's just what can you do about that? That's so scary. And then, this right on the heels of the news about Andrew Yoon last week. So, yeah. That's just tragedy left and right. So I'm, our thoughts go out to the families and those directly affected by the passings that we've been feeling in the gaming industry these past couple weeks. But certainly a lot of us are feeling a loss right now. So our respects to these individuals. Rama in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com points out they're having a big Ruby, RWBY, memorial photo shoot for Monty at KatsuCon this weekend. Well, that's kind of cool that they're going to have these tributes showing up in these very appropriate places.
Well,
that's
and
really
here's
cool.
the other thing that kind of like is pretty awesome. There, as for honoring Monty, we do that in our own way. In lieu of flowers or gifts, we ask that you simply do something creative. Use your imagination to make the world a better place. In that way, or any way that you can. So pretty inspirational. And they have like a nice tribute video on roosterteeth.com, and check it out. It's pretty awesome.
And SSJ 100 Matt pointing out that I marathoned Ruby this week. So a lot of people checking that out in tribute. All right, well, the show must go on, so I'm going to continue on to our next news story tonight. So I'm going to go to a completely different direction here and talk about something that's probably a follow-up to something Loki had suggested earlier in the show about gold and silver Mario Amiibo. And, yep, gold and silver Mario Amiibo look like this is a thing. This is coming from a forum post where these figures were dug up, like the pictures were dug up on Nintendo's site. All we know so far, though, is the box art. Nintendo, of course, has not made any comment on these figures as of yet. And, of course, some people are wondering, are they a Photoshop? Maybe. But I want to say somebody saw this on like an inventory sheet somewhere, too, or it kind of lines up.
Possible. They do this type of thing with Disney Infinity. They had crystal figures. Mm-hmm. So they're like different versions. They also have variants for Skylanders where they're more rare. I would not doubt that they're doing this. Of course, it gives you an opportunity to sell Mario 2 or 3 more times.
Is this something, now you suggested earlier in the show, we were talking about Club Nintendo closing and what the successor could be. You mentioned it'll involve Amiibo. Are we looking at it?
Possibly. I don't know if this would be something that's exclusive to that, but maybe. I would think that we'd see something maybe like this, variants or even exclusive characters through there. Maybe some like more niche characters.
Oh, God. Like you're going to get extra things that unlock if you have a gold one or a silver one? Oh, God.
Or it'll just be a skin in the game. It'll be just like your gold Mario and Smash Brothers now instead.
Does that mean I might get a pink gold Peach Amiibo? Because apparently that's a character in Mario Kart 8. Maybe. I guess anything's possible. But there's a difference between Silver Mario and Metal Mario, right? Or
I guess. Not. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like... Right there, it just looks like they painted one silver, painted one gold.
Yeah. Kaijudo in chat over at live.vognetwork.com says, I'm going to wear gold Mario Amiibo to show off my bling bling. Oh, is that... I could wear it around my neck, like an accessory. Is that something I could do?
Okay, Flava Flav.
Maybe that's a Dragon Con outfit in the making there. I'm gonna dress up as an Amiibo. All right, nobody will get it. That's fine. That's cool. I understand.
You have to have a stand with you.
All right.
A little black circle you can stand on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, a platform.
All right, anyhow, I'm sure plenty more to come as we get closer and closer to E3. A lot of this will be trickling out, or maybe even the next Nintendo Direct, whenever that is. They tend to have them about once a month, so we'll see. Japan got a Nintendo Direct this week all about Xenoblade, but we didn't get it for whatever reason. So
Xenoblade's not coming out until April here.
I guess that's true. All right, well, let's move on. We're going to go to a simpler time. There was no Amiibo or near-field communication. You unlock things in the game by hitting like up, down, left, right, BA, start. That was that. It was a very...
You held buttons while you put in your quarters.
That's exactly right. It was a more simpler time in gaming. We're going to visit that in a segment we call the Classic Game of the Week. Dark Soccer is going to step into the gaming vault and find a game that she thinks, hey, you should play this game because like it's a classic and stuff.
So sticky.
And sometimes it ties into the news, as this week's title does, right, Dark Soccer?
Yes, it does. I was fully inspired by the news, and I was also surprised I haven't done it before.
So what is the Classic Game of the Week?
The game is Dead or Alive. It came out in 1996 as a fighting game done by Tecmo, and the first entry in the series by Team Ninja. And it came out for the Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation in 1998. The Saturn version was Japan only. Yes, this is the game that gave us the very, very, very bouncing boobies that you could actually input like your age and everything and change it. So yeah, the Dead or Alive had different choices of gameplay as well that really set it apart from the other 3D games at the time. It really focused on speed and simple commands and reaction time. So the countering system was very unique as well because it used different type of commands to go with the type of counter you were going to do. You also had different holds in there. You had offensive hold and defensive hold, which you would either hold back or forward depending on how you were going to do that. So you'd either force them away or counter damage. You also had these things called danger zones that were around the edges. So that, for example, you could send a character, flying by slamming them onto the danger zone and they would, bounce up. To avoid that, you would have to do a defensive roll called ukemi. And the game also had like this ongoing plot. I mean, it's still going. I just sat like for 3 hours one night about a month and a half ago reading the plot of Dead or Alive. I swear. So basically, it's just that you have different main characters. There's Kasumi, Ayane. You have the wrestler Bass Armstrong, Bayman, Genfu, John Lee, I said Kasumi, Lei Feng, Raido, who is Ayane's dad, Ryu Hayabusa from
Ninja Gaiden, right?
Yes, thank you, Brain. You have Tina, who's a wrestler as well, and Zack, who dresses up like a Teletubby in later games. And it basically, Tomonobu Itagaki was saying that he just really did not like how fighting games were designed at the time. He missed the old arcade-style play. He, wanted to take fighting games a different direction. So since he had been there with Tecmo for a while, they're like, hey, go for it. So this was the result. The original game ran on Sega Model 2 arcade board, but the backgrounds were actually polygonal models. And the Saturn made use of bitmaps and parallax scrolling to the same way that Virtua Fighter 2 did. So this was basically the first time Sega licensed their hardware to a third-party company for this arcade release. And then, of course, we had the PlayStation version, which was the one that Bass and Ayane were in. And it had different music, and this is the version that we got out in North America on March 31st, 1998. Europe got it in July 1998.
I'm still giggling like a child over here. I just haven't really watched this game be played in a long time. I haven't really played a Dead or Alive game since it was first out on Xbox 360. I never played the original. It came out in a time, that kind of dark period where I wasn't really doing a lot of gaming. And I'm looking at this, just watching again Kasumi and the way her boobs bounce in this little playthrough video we have here. And I'm giggling. It's so stupid and over the top. Like, boobs don't move like that, but it's funny.
Well, there actually is like a whole, I think, Tumblr called Boobs Don't Work That Way. But usually it's more for just pointing out Rob Liefeld's bad art. Another thing, Tecmo also put out Dead or Alive Plus for arcades that was based off the PlayStation version, had updated gameplay, and then it expanded a little bit more for Dead or Alive 2. It was listed in 2011 by Complex as the 7th best fighting game of all time. And then it was remade as Dead or Alive Ultimate that revamped the Saturn version for Xbox, along with the updated Dead or Alive 2 in the same packaging. And so they just made the graphics smoother, changed the sound from stereo to surround, and let you play with Xbox Live Online Gaming. And so this and Dead or Alive 2 became the second fighting game with online play. And that's it.
All right.
Dead or Alive. Not to be confused with that really gross horror movie. Or, You Spin Me Right Round.
Although that is a great song.
It is. There's a really good mashup of that and Danny Minogue.
I think I've heard that before.
Yep.
Come to think of it. All right, there it is, your classic game of the week. Dead or Alive, a game that admittedly I did not play enough of, I think, when I was when I was younger. So I'll have to go back and check that out on Jamie's request. Do you have a system I can play it on, Jamie?
I think, yeah, somewhere. You want to know what though? If any woman out there wants to imagine what it's like to be a character in Dead or Alive, take off your bra and go for a jog. Now imagine that while you're just standing still. I wouldn't recommend it. Thank you, Tecmo, for unrealistic expectations.
I feel
but
like
please don't mod our women nude.
Is this something you've tried at some point in your life, Dark Sakura?
You know what? It's just you don't know. I'm not even going to talk about it because you guys will never know the pain that we go through. Guys are wimps compared to girls. Our insides attack us every month. We have huge weights on the front of our upper bodies that make our backs hurt. And on top of that, them bitches out there making babies. Try that once. Can't do it.
All right. We're gonna stop there and take a break before we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio after a quick break. And when we come back with more of Orange Lounge Radio, we will get into some rapid fire news. We'll get to the Fugo question of the week, our emails, some news, some follow up to some last week's news, and somebody getting their just desserts. And I like hearing about this type of stuff. And maybe we'll get Dark Sakura to talk about boobies more. We'll try. I'm kidding. All right.
Rob.
What?
Guys have boobs too.
That is true. Okay, I can talk about boobs if you want. All right. We'll be back after a break with more of Orange Lounge Radio right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Orange Lounge Radio, live here at vognetwork.com for this number 586 episode, February the 8th of 2015. And we're going to start off part B here with our newest segment here on the show. We call it the Forum Follow-Up. Every week we post some extended discussions from topics on our show over at forums.vognetwork.com, and you can participate in these discussions, and we follow up on some of the big discussions from last week right now. And I also kind of tried to guess what big things might come up this week, because after all, over on the forums, you can post about whatever you want. You don't have to wait for me to post. You can post something, and then maybe it will get picked up here on the show. So let's get to it. Follow-up post on the Nintendo Let's Play revenue sharing, which for obvious reasons was a hot topic last week. I think we have an email coming up on it tonight as well. So obviously a lot of opinions on Nintendo's Let's Play and the revenue share program. Rebel Romance over on our forum said, I don't see Nintendo as a bad guy here. Do they need the money? Probably not. But if someone is making a profit off of something that they created, then I feel royalties should be paid. I think the music example is an excellent one, not just for licensing, but also for BMI, ASCAP, etc. These performance associations distribute royalties fairly when someone's work is played or being played, as it were. Maybe gaming needs some neutral ground like that, so everyone is protected and profiting. I don't think the YouTube qualifies, though. And Act Deft, on the same topic, said, if something a lot of the companies are making... Let me start over, sorry. If something a lot of the companies making strikes and copyright claims to people on YouTube should follow Nintendo's example, work with the people, not against them. Although, following up to this was just kind of my own thought real quick. It doesn't seem like Nintendo's solution is really working. A, it's too convoluted. B, they're having these problems, or it's taking people way too long to sign up for them. It's putting really crazy restrictions on people's channel. Nintendo's solution doesn't work. I still believe what I said last week. Not to rehash the whole debate, but last week I said I believe Nintendo is owed a cut, and I still do believe that. But this solution, particular one, isn't working for anybody, and should probably just be put out to pasture already. But apparently it's really popular because nobody else can seem to sign up for it. Maybe people are just excited because either A, they're like, hey, I didn't think to try and get money before, so now I'm going to try and do it. Or B, they just, I guess, want to sign up for Nintendo. Maybe Nintendo's going to expose some of their partners and they'll have that official tie-in. I don't know. Anyhow. I knew the Legend of Zelda TV series and the Netflix thing we talked about at the part of the show. I knew that was going to be a huge topic, so we had a post over on that on the forums as well. We had some follow-ups from Tiger Claw, who said, I'm curious on how are they going to cast Link as a kid, a teen, or adult? I heard the TV show is being described as a family-friendly Game of Thrones. By family-friendly, I would guess nobody dies. Well, now, Tiger Claw, Bambi's mother died, so they could still do something if they wanted to, but I just, again, when they say it's going to be like Game of Thrones, I think they just mean it's going to be a medieval fantasy, and that's it. I don't think you're going to see a lot of the other stuff. And again, as I said earlier in the show, I don't necessarily think Link and Zelda are even a given. Why do they have to even be in it? I mean, maybe Zelda could be in it because she is princess after all, but I mean, I don't know. Like, how would the series go on and on and on? What would continue it? I don't know. I think there's a lot of things they could do with it, but it's just way too early. We don't even know if Netflix really got cast greenlit. Who knows? Flacco Jones says on the Legend of Zelda TV series, while I don't for a second think this rumor is true, I'll answer for the sake of participating. Netflix is throwing money around like crazy. Nintendo would very much like more money. So if it is happening, which it isn't, by the way, it's because Nintendo is getting a lot of money and likely has a lot of creative control as well. As far as the, quote, will this be good question, you never know until you see the finished product. I'm like half with you there, Flacco, because I get why you're totally saying this is full of crap. And I think people are jumping to conclusions for sure. But I also think there's an element of where there's smoke, there's fire. And there is the Wall Street Journal reporting on this. I'm sure someone at Netflix has loose lips about, what's happening so that people, will hopefully invest in Netflix and so forth. But again, all they could be shooting is a concept pilot to get Nintendo to sign off on it. I mean, we don't even know if that partnership's really been established yet. So anything is possible. Or perhaps it's true and they're already running a series with this. Who knows? But I kind of doubt that. I'm kind of with you, Flacco, that this is not as far along, at least, as people seem to think it is. Anyway, those are some of the comments from our forums in the forum follow-up. Let's go around now with some rapid-fire news and quickly talk about a few more topics from the week. Loki.
All right. So, stupid window. Anyways, this is kind of a relief in case you may be on the fence about buying Final Fantasy Type O. Square Enix apparently, I want to say they're going back on what they said originally. Apparently, they're going to be releasing a Final Fantasy 15 demo alongside Type O HD, so you won't necessarily have to buy the game, I'm guessing.
I like that you call it Typo. I thought it was Type 0, but
whatever, Typo.
I kind of like Typo.
It's Final Fantasy Typo.
It's Final Fantasy Typo.
Her Dragon Quest Typo. There you go.
Final Fanta, grape flavored.
Dagon Quest Typo. But if you want to play the demo first, then you'd want to buy the game because it's going to be, released with Type 0 first, but then it'll be coming out later on. So, I don't know. It's kind of nice. I'm not sure if I'd like Type 0. I'll buy it because it's Final Fantasy, though.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it just because it's Final Fantasy and I have a problem. So, and I'm really looking forward to that demo, that's for sure.
Yeah. So this is pretty cool. There's a Kickstarter for a game called Drift Stage, which is this retro-styled drift racing game, and it looks, all neon and kind of 80s looking and stuff, almost like an old, early Polygon arcade racing game. Well, they finally hit their stretch goal for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita versions of the game, which is awesome. It's also going to come out on Windows, Mac, and Linux, but they're saying that that should be coming out next year. So that's pretty awesome. And the game looks really sweet. And I guess their Kickstarter just ended. I think they had like $50,000 of their $30,000 goal. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And then they're going to have Buku special editions for Mortal Kombat X. And including, they've got, everything from, what's the most expensive one here? Up to $179.99. So for starting off at the cheapest one, $89.99, the Mortal Kombat X Premium Edition, which will be available download only, includes the Combat Pack and the game. What the fuck is the Combat Pack? I have no idea. Oh, 4 additional add-on playable characters from classic combatants to icon guest characters. Are we going to see more like Jason Voorhees and stuff in this? Because that was pretty awesome last time.
Those were some awesome crossovers. Freddy Krueger.
Well, it was Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to see Jason or I keep wanting to say Bruce Campbell, but that's not the character's name. You know, Ash from Evil Dead.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, be awesome.
And then, of course, the next step up would be the Mortal Kombat X Limited Edition, which includes an exclusive Scorpion King skin designed and inspired by the Cold War, I guess. And then the Combat Pack, and that's coming out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which will be $94.99 for that one. Then, if you want to spend even more money and need a statue, they're going to have the Mortal Kombat X Collector's Edition with a K because it's Mortal Kombat. And they've got an exclusive Scorpion figure and the skin, the Combat Pack, and that'll be out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One for $149.99. Then there's even one further beyond that. That'll be exclusive to Amazon and I think for Europe, and that's also the collector's edition over there. And they have the statue, the Mortal Kombat X Blood Ties comic book Volume 1, skin, the Combat Pack, and all the other fun stuff for $179.99. That's just way too much.
Fifth Dream in chat talking about Mortal Kombat X over at live.vognetwork.com says Katniss Everdeen in Mortal Kombat X. You heard it here first. I don't know. I think I realize those movies are kind of violent, but I think Mortal Kombat X might be too violent. They're still PG-13 films, are they not? So might not work.
What would be a good guest character for Mortal Kombat? I don't know.
Mama from Mama's Family. She just hit people with her purse.
Wow. Didn't we do a listless on this once a long time ago? We had to have. I don't know.
I know. Flo from Mel's Diner.
All right.
She'd kiss them with her grits.
Anyway, let's move on. Speaking of classic nostalgia, I think this is interesting. Apparently, a new Toe Jam and Earl game is actually in development. Now, I'm a little confused at this because I thought we just had really bad news about Sega last week. So how could there be a new Toe Jam and Earl game unless, I guess, the license has been, maybe to try and get some money back. Maybe they let this license out to somebody else. I don't know. But, yeah, apparently there's been some content released from the developers, some concept art for what this Toe Jam and Earl might look like. But, God, it's been so long since the original. I don't know. Could be interesting.
Would anyone care?
I think there'd be a lot of people checking it out for the curiosity factor, yeah.
But beyond that, though, I don't know.
Well, if the game is good,
just
the game
don't
is
fuck
good.
it up like you did Sonic. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Just don't fuck it up like you did Sonic.
Well, I don't think it's Sega doing it because things are changing over at Sega, as we talked about last week. All right, and Fifth Dream in chat says the people who created it are still around, so maybe it went back to the original developers and just be published by somebody else. Who knows? Anyhow, speaking of publishing something old, new again, this is very interesting. If you are a Blizzard fan, you probably have a copy of StarCraft 2 because, Blizzard, or you love your StarCraft. But, StarCraft kind of has its roots in the Warcraft universe. Warcraft is obviously something very different now with World of Warcraft, although I think there's a lot of people hoping someday for a Warcraft 4. But what's very interesting is that now Warcraft 3 models are available in StarCraft 2. And if you didn't know, StarCraft 2 has this huge arcade area where people can make their own games. And I know I've talked at length on the show before about some of the games I enjoy in the StarCraft arcade, like Star Jeweled is my personal favorite. It's Bejeweled mixed with StarCraft. It's fun. But now you'll be able to make games with Warcraft 3 characters in the StarCraft arcade. So I would think you could essentially remake Warcraft 3 or even freaking Defense of the Ancients, which is the mod that brought us League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of the Storm. All of that is to thank from Defense of the Ancients. You could see all that in StarCraft 2's arcade now. So that's going to be very interesting. It's on the PTR now, so enjoy that. One more piece of news here. I know some people very excited about music games. Some people also very excited about Persona. Well, there was some new information released on Persona this week. There was a new trailer for Persona 5, for one, and I know that's got a lot of people excited, especially those that are super into the Persona games. But also of particular interest, let's not forget about the Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Thank you very much. That's the music game that's coming out as well. And, there's a lot of songs that are in this. Of course, Persona, remember, if you play this game, even though it's like a JRPG, it has very kind of like modern sounding music that makes up the soundtrack. So some of that is in the game, but there's a lot of remixes that are in the game. Of particular note, there's a song called Time to Make History, which will have the Akira Yamaoka remix in Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Also, Heartbreak from Tawate. You guys know Tawate, right? He was like a huge remixer years ago. Probably still does. He was part of Groove is in the Heart. D-Light. Remember that with Lady Miss Kira? Tawate was a part of that group, so he also has a remix in the game there. But Akira Yamaoka. So there you go.
Persona that means I have to have this game like forever.
Right? It's like if you weren't convinced now you are. There it is. Dark Sakura, what do you have for us?
Stuff. Well, this is like, I guess the Kickstarter thing is just getting bigger and bigger, but this one is really good. There is a Kickstarter floating around to help basically get a new DJ Max Technica out and about. They're wanting to put out something to the range of 30 to 40 units, and so they are looking to the fan base. So you can actually find a trailer for this called Touching Sounds. So keep your eyes open for that, or hanging out on Kickstarter. And also something about Hironobu Sakaguchi, who created Final Fantasy. He's going to be getting a Game Developer's Choice Award for Lifetime Achievement, and I'd say very, very well deserved. And last but not least, yay! Happy news! Yay! Well, kind of yay. Leland Yee can't learn. He really can't. We all know all the shit he's done, right? Well, they revised...
In case people forgot, there was the whole... he was a huge voice behind the whole video games are too violent. He led that campaign to try and make retailers have to... God, I don't even remember all the details. It was so long ago. It was about you could only sell games that had certain content in it. You had to ID people, basically. But the fact of what is adult content was so vague that there was a lot of problems with it, and it ended up going all the way to the Supreme Court, and California spent a lot of money, wasted it, basically defending this law, where, parents need to take the active role in what their kids are playing. Anyway, so Leland Yee was a huge part of this,
more.
And then behind the story, he was trafficking guns.
Well, apart from allegedly. That, they've the big indictment on this is that he was allegedly depositing checks from criminal enterprises for Secretary of State campaign fund, which, even more. So he's pleaded not guilty, and he is going to be going to federal trial on June 22nd. Jury selection begins on June 1st. Pre-trial hearing is April 30th, and he's being tried for 13 different counts. So, you know what? I want him nailed.
He's going to be put away for a long, long time, I think.
Except he's going to buy his way out of jail and only serve a year, whereas there's rapists out there who, also only get a year, but you have people who are smoking pot who are in jail for 30 years, just saying.
All right.
Justice, America.
Well, let's do some justice to our listener feedback in a segment we call, you like that transition? In a segment we call the Fugal Question of the Week, where we take Facebook and Google Plus and put it together and you get Fugal.
It's Radio
We're going to head on over to our communities where we ask a question every week and read some of our favorite answers here on the show. And this week has to do with modding. After all, Dark Sakura read us that story earlier about the Dead or Alive 5. And please don't mod this game on PC if you have bad moral choices. Please don't do immoral things to our characters. Yeah, right. So we want to ask our listeners, look, have you ever used a controversial mod? I don't just mean nudity, but, nudity, super cheating, something that altered the game in a way that the creators probably didn't want you to do. What was the mod and why? Loki's laughing over there every
He's
fucking day, right,
visibly
Loki?
shaking.
Well, aren't you? Maybe the listeners know of some you haven't heard of yet. So I bet you're excited to hear some of these answers, right?
Of course.
All right, let's start on Google Plus tonight. Since I was horrible and neglected them a couple weeks ago, I'll start on Google Plus tonight with Josh Y, who replied, "While I didn't really use a mod, I had some fun with Action Replay. It's the UK equivalent to a Game Shark. It was super powerful on the Amiga. It even had a decompiler. Oh yes, decompiling games is something I'm sure they don't want you to do.
I don't think they do.
I don't.
Keep
think
in mind, the Action Replay did evolve and come out for other systems in the U.S.
Yeah, we did get it in the U.S., but
Yeah.
it was for...
How else did I play my Saturn games?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm always afraid I'm saying this name wrong, but Martin D replied and said, I tried the hot coffee mod for Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but it was just a silly mini game. And I doubt the creators didn't intend for that content to be found because the code was in there in the first place. People can mod whatever they want. It's just a video game, people. OMG boobs. And I imagine Martin is probably, I think if I remember right, he's one of our listeners over in Belgium. And if I am correct, what?
I think it's just Martin.
Is it Martin?
Yeah.
Okay. He's over the double A throws me in. I'm thinking, but I'm probably overthinking it. So anyway, he's over in Belgium. And my understanding is over there, boobies ain't no big deal. It is no big
Just
deal.
ask Brigitte Nielsen.
It is no big deal, right? All right. Anyhow, Reddertainment replied and said, I used Action Replay, Game Shark, Game Genies, and other devices like that until the console manufacturers found a way to disable such devices. I've also used game save manipulation programs to give me a fuck ton of experience in MLB 2K11 and Final Fantasy 13. I had limited results with Final Fantasy 13, but I had fabulous results with MLB 2K11. I was like playing with a baseball player who took steroids. Well, that's cheating, Reddertainment. All right. Let's get some of our answers over on Facebook. Andy R says, for a while, I had mods for League of Legends that only changed character skins. The skins were only client-side. For example, I was the only one that saw them. But given that Riot sells skins for the game, they ended up killing those mods in later patches. Yeah, selling you skins is part of how they keep the game free to play. So they probably don't like, even if it's only you, they probably don't like that you were able to change that. It's interesting. Alan Alchemy replied and said, I almost find this story beneath notice due to the studio bringing it up. Do they know what the stock swimsuits you can unlock in DOA Volleyball Party look like? But anyway, yes, I've used nude and sex mods for both Dragon Age Origins and Skyrim, the latter of which has mods for scalable dong size with real-time flop physics for when you run in the nude. Wow. Mostly I run these for the comedy factor and just to see how they look. 90% of them get uninstalled after messing with them. The ones I keep are largely skimpy, sexed up, super impractical armors. You know, like what the DOA women wear in the retail release for the dudes. Because as a gay man and a PC owner, I feel I should be able to tailor my fantasy setting as I see fit. And a little male exploitation to balance the scales a bit can't be a bad thing, right? Well, whatever helps me sleep at night, I guess. Dark Soccer, does male exploitation help you sleep at night?
Oh, yeah. Gives me some really good dreams there. You know?
Do you think about it before you go to bed every night?
For the record, I have done exactly some of those same mods because it's absolutely ridiculous to watch the Dong Cup.
Have you ever done a nude, Garrus? Admit it. Have you ever
No,
done...
I actually haven't.
Okay.
But,
Sure.
you know, the Turian skin did exist as a model for when they were developing Mass Effect. It's just they never actually implemented it in the game, but when they first did the character designs, they had naked Turians.
Interesting.
Just saying.
All right, just saying. All right, Jason C. replied and said, I definitely use character skin mods in Skyrim. Bethesda makes some of the ugliest character models around, and it was really distracting and hard to enjoy a game that looks so awful. Usurping Slurpee replied and said, the DOA producer should be more concerned with mods that give unfair advantage in multiplayer, not cosmetic ones. Modding the game to see boobies or dongs isn't immoral. It's just for fun, not titillation. I've only used mods in WoW to supplement poor UI design. The thing, though, with WoW is that they really encourage it in WoW. That's why I kind of didn't name them in the post. But, I mean, I've certainly used mods in WoW, too. And there have been things in WoW that they didn't like. Like there was one where you could like draw on the ground and they shut that one down. Blizzard didn't like that. So I guess even though WoW embraces mods, there have been some naughty ones. On a side note, says Usurping Slurpee, Who cares about DOA? I've only briefly played a DOA title on a PS2. Seems to me that Tecmo is trying to stir up some publicity for a stale franchise. Save your money for Mortal Kombat X. Uppercuts to the crotch for the win. Ragenator says, I can't say that I've ever modded a game. I have no real interest in doing so. Ragenator, even after all the booby and dong talk tonight, no interest at all? No, it's
He
fine.
wants the swollen balls mod.
You know what? Outside of MMOs, I don't ever really do it either. Like I'll look over my shoulder and I'll see Alan like with his dong mod in Skyrim, and I'll have a laugh and whatever. But then I just go right back to whatever I was doing. Like I don't really get too hardcore in that stuff.
You know, I modded the hell out of Mass Effect.
Well, yeah, and now that I think about it, but I made Alan do it for me. So Alan modded it, but he showed me how to do the HD textures. He showed me how to do the HD textures.
And wasn't it worth it?
It was kind of worth it.
Have you ever
actually.
fly cammed?
No, never done that.
Fly cam's pretty cool because you can find some interesting stuff.
I bet. Didn't you have some Tumblr post of a fly cam thing that went like huge?
I did. It was a picture on the refrigerator in the Normandy in Mass Effect 2 that has a picture of... It has the circle with the slash on it on a Turian's head and guns. So all I did was put a big caption on it that said, no Turians, no guns. 900 posts. Like the fuck, Tumblr?
Tumblr's weird. All right.
No. Well, that one, and I had the other one that was this one's intimate apparel. That was a Hanar sex shop.
I remember that one. Yeah, the Hanar sex shop.
You can only see it if you fly cam.
There's probably a reason for that. Anyway, Fifth Dream in chat says, first thing I do when I play... I'm sorry, not chat. On Facebook says, first thing I do when I play a Sims game is remove the sensor mosaic. It's just super distracting.
Oh my God, me too. I don't care if they look like Barbie dolls. It's just so much better. I want to watch my Sims taking a piss. Just saying.
Ew, what kind of weird... What? Did you just say that on the radio?
I was being
I'm afraid she
facetious.
did.
Oh my God, Travis Donovan is cutting that clip right now.
Sarcasm, hello?
I know.
But I actually do get rid of that just because it actually is distracting.
From watching her take their piss. Yeah.
No, from watching them bathe. Or having woohoo.
Oh boy.
I did the mod for Sims 3 that turns woohoo into fuck. On the little suggestion bar.
Let's just call it what it is. All right. It is a night here at Orange Lounge Radio. There's something, I don't know, something in the storms.
It's parasitic balls.
Bringing in the funny or the strange. All right, anyway, that's the Fugu question of the week. Facebook.com/Orange Lounge Radio or Google.com/plus Orange Lounge Radio. Let's get into some more news before we get to some phone calls later on in the show. Loki.
So we hear all these stories about people getting swatted and how it's terrible and stuff. Well, it's about time that we finally heard news that one of those swatting, one of the people behind this swatting has gotten arrested. And that's the case in, I guess, a online gamer who's known by the name Famed God, who had swatted some people in the past by making up murder scenarios and having the police go out to their homes and stuff, and of course not finding anybody. I guess they had tracked him down. He had used a computer to contact Naperville's 911 center back in July of last year, and basically said that there is a murder happening at a home in the city, and so they sent their the police out there, and of course there was no one there. And so they eventually tracked him down to Vegas, and they arrested him. And
Good.
Took his computers and all that fun stuff.
Thank
Yay.
you. Sometimes the justice system works. Thank you.
And apparently,
I think they should spank him.
Make an example.
He's been charged
2
counts of computer tampering, 1 count of intimidation, computer fraud, identity theft, disorderly conduct, and also was waiting extradition to Illinois and faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted. So
he's still probably going to get a longer sentence than rapists.
He's been a very, very naughty boy, and he needs to go to the naughty step immediately. Very naughty.
Your fascination with Super Nanny is Amazing.
Since I don't have kids, I just imagine it's like Super Nanny. Am I correct?
No. It's 100% more whining.
Have you tried putting your children on the naughty step?
Oh, he doesn't care. I mean, timeouts don't work.
All right. Let's see. So I'm really glad to hear one of those little turds got caught. And if you do that kind of crap, you kind of have it coming. So it's hard for me to feel sympathy for that guy. Anyway, shifting gears here a little bit, talking about Sony Online Entertainment, which essentially is gone as of this week. Now, hold on. They didn't close or anything. They just transitioned a little bit. That's because Columbus Nova, an investment management firm, actually bought Sony Online Entertainment this week. It is now Daybreak Game Company. So Sony Online Entertainment, or SOE, is now Daybreak Game Company. So this would affect games like PlanetSide 2, EverQuest Next, and Landmark, DC Universe Online. I mean, this is a lot of games that are impacted by this. And already, within moments, I mean, I'm looking at a post on the official PlanetSide 2 forums over at station.sony.com, and they even say on here, this means PlayStation, Xbox, mobile, and more. Like, they don't even try to pretend that they're free of the restriction of only making things for Sony and assumably PC. So certainly you're going to see things happen on Xbox and mobile. Now, does this mean they're going to go back and port EverQuest to Xbox One? Nah, probably not. But you'll probably see a little more parity with the things that come out in the future. And especially maybe like EverQuest Landmark or some of the newer things, maybe even DC Universe. I mean, if it's not too hard for them to port over the PlayStation 4 version to the Xbox One, maybe that would come over. But then again, now here's the problem. Microsoft has that restriction where the servers have to be Microsoft-centric. So is that going to work for every Daybreak Game Company game? I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what develops in the future, but I think mobile is definitely going to be a thing that's happening as well. So they are saying business as usual for now. It doesn't sound like there are any layoffs or things like that. We're all keeping our fingers and toes crossed that the talent over there can keep on doing right what they're doing. And hopefully this will mean now that they can go more multi-platform, there'll be even more subscribers to consume their games. We'll see what happens. All right. Moving on, Dark Sakura, you have a follow-up story for us of sorts, speaking of MMOs?
I do. Well, we talked about a lot of websites that have been shut down, among them Joystick, Massively, WoW Insider. Well, WoW Insider is actually going to get an extended life as Blizzard Watch. Although, I don't know, someone should have kerned their logo better. So basically they generated $13,172.50 per month from 2,549 people. Wow. And so they are now being relaunched as Blizzard Watch.
By the way, they have stressed that logo is super temporary.
Good.
I think they actually had a post the other day trying to hire a graphic designer.
I should do it. I should just do it for free.
Why not?
But anyway, you can go to blizzardwatch.com to find out a little bit more. And I don't have time to do it.
No reason why you can't throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah. I can just point out the bad kerning on that. Also, now this is really interesting too, because we had just talked about Kickstarter before, but Massively is turning toward crowdfunding via Kickstarter to try to raise $50,000 to launch a new website called Massively Overpowered. And on their Kickstarter project page, they're basically saying we like to keep doing what we were doing, only better, not just because we love MMO blogging, but because we know that our community and the greater MMO fandom is unique and worth serving.
And by the way, they've made it. They've achieved that. It was hit either earlier today or last night. So
cool for them.
But
it's still going, though, isn't it?
It's still going. 25 days to go, and their goal was 50K, and they've made 52K. But, of course, as a lot of Kickstarters do, they have stretch goals. I want to say there was something for 75K about convention coverage. If they can get into those different conventions, then they'll be covering those. So,
well, their new website is massivelyop.com.
Very cool.
So go check it out.
Well, it's kind of funny because last week's show, not to say I told you so, but I seem to remember distinctly saying I guarantee you at least WowSider is launching a Patreon or a Kickstarter the minute they close on AOL.
WoW Insider actually did do it through Patreon.
They did, yeah. So one did it through Patreon and one did it through Kickstarter. And I said, if they're going to do it, strike while the iron's hot, while people are, eulogizing the loss of WoW Insider and what it meant to them and so forth. Strike while the iron's hot. Hey, for $1 a month, you can still have this in your life. And they convinced all these people to do it. Good for them. Good for them. I mean, it's a good site. I can't knock them whatsoever. They do a good service for that Warcraft community, and massively does great work as well. I've read their stuff a lot in doing Horde House, where we try to tap into all sorts of online games. I use massively to try to keep a pulse, and other sites too, but massively a lot to try to keep a pulse on all these other sites. What's very interesting though, Jamie, I don't know if you noticed, but so you have WoW Insider started their own thing. Massively started their own thing. I believe Unofficial Apple Weblog also started their own thing. I know that's kind of outside the scope of what we talk about here, but that was a blog that was shut down as too. Joystick, however, apparently is not going down this route, or at least we haven't seen it yet. But you have this odd thing going on, and it's a little different.
Engadget thing.
Well, yeah, it looks like they retained maybe 3 people from Joystick, some of the writers who now are writing pieces for Engadget. But it sounds from their little initial, this is what it's all about, they're kind of, I hate to be so crass, but it sounded a bit like a lowered expectations post where they're saying, we're not going to cover all the press release news. We're going to cover gamer lifestyle.
It makes sense because they can't with 3 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking it is. I hate to be so crude for a site that I really have respected in the past, but it did sound like it was a lowered expectations post. Like, you're just not going to get as much as you used to see, and so we're going to cut out all the stuff that everybody copy-pastes on other websites anyway, which, I mean, makes sense. I can't fault them for that idea at all. But it should be noted that Joystick Cross Engadget is not Joystick. And also, within hours, that WoW Insider Twitter was turned into this thing that said WoW Insider, now a part of Joystick Cross Engadget. And there were a whole bunch of people that replied to them, basically giving them the middle finger. Like, you fired the whole staff, fuck you, type of thing. And I have yet to see a peep on this Joystick Cross Engadget on what's WoW Insider, what's Massively now. My thought is they're just going to let it go. They kind of have to. I think the community kind of sees through it. There's if they try to do WoW Insider, it's none of the same people. It's just
not gonna. They're not gonna retain any of those people that were on that site.
It's like taking 5 new girls and calling them the Spice Girls. It's not going to be the Spice Girls. It's the Spice Girls in name only. Or how about this? Since everybody's talking by Saved by the Bell this week, which, by the way, side rant. What the fuck was
cool.
No, I loved it. But what the fuck was up with all these gaming blogs that were like, did you see the Saved by the Bell thing on Fallon? Like, I saw it on Twitter. It was clickbait. They were running articles on it. I'm like, there's never even been a Saved by the Bell game. And I mean, I saw this
But people that like games like this, like Saved by the Bell, so that's why I'm going to put an article about it.
I just, here is another great example of what we should be complaining about in game journalism, but there's all this bullshit fuckery hoo-ha going on somewhere else. I'm just like, hello, it's right here. It's right. This is not gaming journalism. What is this?
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. It's not. That's not journalism. That's something you mentioned on your Twitter feed, saying, "Hey, you know what? That's pretty cool. Hey, did you guys see that?"
But what is it? It's a link to an article on Twitter.
Yeah,
on their Twitters. Anyway, sorry. Side rant.
To content they didn't even make.
Yeah. Right. So anyway. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going with an analogy of the new Saved by the Bell did not touch the old. All right, the train's left the station. Forget it. Let's move on.
Toot, toot, Rob.
Toot, toot. All right, let's move on, Loki.
All right. So there's this new sort of technology called gaze tracking that allows you to use, I guess, they're saying like an infinite screen thing. Basically, it tracks your eye movement, and based on that, I guess it allows you to, have more of an immersive experience. They're calling it like an infinite screen. So when the player looks to the left of the screen, it can measure, where you're looking and kind of rotate the camera, that type of thing. I just don't see that working. I mean, I don't know. Cool, I guess, but this reminds me so much of what they did with how they use the Kinect with like Forza, where you would kind of turn your head to look to the side. But the problem is when you turn your head, the monitor doesn't turn with you, so it doesn't really work that way. But anyways, apparently though, you can, if you're interested in this technology, they do have hardware that you could buy, including they have like they're saying some development kits and stuff, that go for $139. I honestly think this would be kind of cool if it was something that was incorporated into, say, something else like the Oculus or something like that, where it's kind of tracking where you're looking and maybe utilizing that for UI or something like that for like selecting things. That might be kind of cool. I don't know. It's a neat concept, but I just don't know if it's going to be practical in the long run.
Yeah, again, this is one of those, like any piece of technology, I have to see the game. I have to see the software that necessitates it.
And honestly, the problem with me, if I use this, is it's just going to be, okay, I glance at the boobs all of a sudden now, like my character's spinning around. It's like, I can't.
Am I going to get penalized for looking at the boobs or looking at the package? Whatever your taste
is. It's gonna be tough.
Is my video game going to out me as gay? No, I have to see like what context this is used in. I mean, like Kinect, we've seen a few good uses of it. Like, Harmonix clearly has that thing mastered, but not even Microsoft ever really, truly mastered the Kinect. Oculus Rift and Project Morpheus, I'm a little more sold on too, because I've kind of seen how those work, and seen some good games.
And that's the other thing too, is like they're saying, even when they're talking about it, they're like, well, you could still use your mouse to look around and stuff, but it's really the next evolution. Well, it's not really a problem, I think. Don't try to solve a problem that's not there yet. You know what I mean? If it's good enough the way it is now, why do I need to invest $200 into something for just like mouse looking, but instead I'm going to be using my eyes? And I would have to really see this working, because in the past similar technologies have not worked, and I don't know. That's a lot of money to invest.
All right,
but we'll see.
All right, well, moving on to a game that if it did have gaze tracking in it, would probably be asking a lot, why do you keep looking at that nose? That's a classic game, Q*bert. I just talked about this earlier in the show, funny enough, because over at Rockage, I played an old school Q*bert machine. And Q*bert is going to be relaunched on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and Vita. That's right. Q*bert Rebooted essentially is coming to these different consoles. This was run on the Sony blog earlier this week. The complete original version of Q*bert, of course, is included. But as part of Q*bert Rebooted, you get the classic and then you get the modernized. Q*bert Rebooted uses hexagons. Ooh, they've changed. Now instead of the cube pattern, they've got hexagons. They went the Civ 5 route. To mix up the game. I wonder if that's where they got the idea. Let's turn squares into hexagons. Anyway, so you can really change up the level designs now that you're using hexagons. There's also time and score challenges, new enemies with new behaviors, new playable characters, and so on and so on. So that's pretty cool. I did not catch a time when this is coming out, but I think it's really soon. I think it's later this month. It might even be as soon as this coming week. But I really enjoy the classic Q*bert game. It's a lot of fun, so I will certainly be checking this out. That will be available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and Vita.
To go back to what we were talking about just a second ago,
sure.
They brought it. Dungeon Buster brought up in chat, would you like to see your Kinect eye tracking stats for the week? That reminds me, like if this was something that was implemented, full scale, then can you imagine like, oh, hey, yeah, we could totally see what the ad impression is. How long were they staring at the ad?
Oh, God.
How long were they staring at the product or whatever that's on the screen? Imagine all that metadata. That would be really helpful. So I could see something like this, integrated into some consumer products, because that's good information for advertisers that they can sell and make money off of.
Raginator in chat pointing out that Q*bert Reloaded is already on Steam. I bought it a while back. Well, shit, I was unaware. I might have to check that out. Although, I don't know. I'll wait for it on PlayStation maybe. Fifth Dream says Q*bert is out on the 10th, so that would be this coming week. Well, that's pretty cool. So I will check that out. Maybe I'll just wait a few more days then and buy that on the PlayStation. It does seem like a game I want to play with the controller. I don't know. I guess I could always plug a controller into my PC, right? But I don't know. Some games are couch
on that
games.
arcade cabinet right there.
I could. Yeah, there's probably a working Q*bert on there in there. But it probably doesn't make that same thud sound when Q*bert hits the bottom. Who knows? All right. Anyhow, let's go to the mailbag. Every week you guys send us emails over at participate@orangeloungeradio.com. And Dark Soccer dives into the mailbag and finds a few emails worthy of reading for you here on the show. So, Dark Sakura, what is awaiting us in the mailbag tonight?
2 letters.
Two letters?
I will go ahead and start with one.
Okay.
First one is Hello, Alar. Caught up on podcast this week. I apologize for the length of this email in advance, but trust me, it's all meat and no fat. Well, we don't want that because fat makes it juicy. No kidding. When you were discussing Rockage, it occurred to me that I need to say something. You all need to go to MagFest. Like, not you ought to go or you should think about it. You really need to go. To describe the feeling you'll get when you walk in there is impossible. There are more video games in one room than you will ever see anywhere else in your lifetime, except possibly at a future MagFest. Lots of consoles are there, including most that you cannot think of, even obscure ones, like my house. Plus over 200 arcade games on free play, plus all the stuff we grew up with to the latest spin money straight from Japan. That actually sounds like California Extreme. Plus pinball machines, California Extreme. Plus board and card games, California Extreme. Plus a dedicated area with dozens of indie developers, plus the infamous challenge booth where you attempt sick feats on classic emulated games, plus concerts. Okay, so yeah, that's where they
Yeah, the
win.
concerts is a really huge thing that distinguishes it from California Extreme. Just
Lots of concerts.
based on what I saw at Rockage.
Hell, the last couple of years have even featured Nobuo Uematsu and Yuzo Koshiro concerts. This even sounds like slightly awesome. If this even sounds like slightly awesome to you, you should try to make it there next January. Please trust me on this. I would like to. It just, time, money, etc.
I am giving it way more serious thought now, as I mentioned earlier in the show, thanks to Rockage and just, kind of having some thinking over the past few weeks about where should my priorities really lie and what conventions I go to. I really think some of the conventions that I used to consider kind of a big deal, I think are kind of losing their relevancy. And maybe I'll get into this more on a future show, but I kind of believe that E3 is becoming less and less relevant, as I think a lot of you are,
Yep.
Especially as companies like Nintendo take their case directly to consumers. So I think these other homegrown shows that really celebrate gaming and what it's all about, that haven't sold out like some other ones have, I think these other homegrown things like MagFest, like Rockage, like GX, like, there's tons of them everywhere, every weekend. I think this is really the types of stuff I want to be going to, things where we celebrate and love and appreciate gaming.
A follow-up to my previous email regarding Nintendo's evil pay-to-play crane game, where you can win badges and icons to customize your 3DS home menu. It's a little bit less evil than originally reported. If you buy 5 plays for 90 yen and don't win anything, you'll receive a free badge as a consolation prize, though it might not be the one you were playing for. Also, there's a special crane machine that you can get 5 plays on for free once a day. This machine allows you to win fake badges but don't do anything for you, but the ones you win are flipped over. That if you find a red dot on the back, you win 3 free plays on the next real machine. This has only happened once out of the 30 or so fake badges I've won, but for every 10 you win, you get 1 free play on the real machine regardless. So it is in theory possible to win a lot of the items without paying any money. It just may take a very long time. Lastly, if you pay 180 yen in one day for 10 players, you will receive at no extra charge an exclusive premium theme of your choice. This is all about the price they sell the themes for anyway, so it's arguably a good value. All in all, it's still very evil, but perhaps only 66.6% evil. Excuse me.
Shane was telling me about that crane game because he imported that new 3DS. So he was over here the other day and he was playing it. I was like, "What the hell are you playing?" He's like, "Oh, it's the crane." And I was like, "Oh, I've heard about this on
the box by
OLR."
my desk. The
What's
box
that?
is cute.
Yeah.
They get cute boxes. Not fair. When shocking moments were being discussed, I'm a little surprised that nobody brought up the release announcement of Duke Nukem Forever. When non-traditional sports games were mentioned, I'm a little surprised that nobody suggested Super Dodgeball. Dan would have suggested that. I think Twitch is the most likely candidate to offer an alternative to YouTube to host Let's Play videos. But I also think they're sharply focused on what they do best and will likely not expand into doing other things. That said, I hope I'm wrong. YouTube needs a good split kick punch in the vajayjay. The Sony class action settlement was mentioned. If you are participating, read the instructions and fine print carefully. You can only select to be the 3 or 6 months of PlayStation Plus benefit if you are not a current subscriber.
That's what I thought.
If you select that option and you are a current subscriber, you will forfeit your benefit.
Ooh.
I already had all the other games on there anyway, so
A listener mentioned on a Google question that they've never been to a convention, but that they were looking forward to too many games in the Philadelphia area this year. Well, I've been there demoing my latest projects for the past 4 years, and I'll be there again this year too, so I hope to see you there. Mention OLR, and you'll get free hugs at the very least. By the way, Philadelphia area, I think, also is DerpyCon. I think they're going to be doing a second one, but I did their flyer for them, their book. So... lastly, I want to mention that Orange Lounge Radio is the most legitimate podcast on the internet. In fact, it is 120% legitimate on every day of the week. And if for any reasons one of my future game releases ever gets popular, a large amount of people ever care about what I have to say, I will still make my project announcements on OLR before I make them anywhere else. Why? Because that's my FU of the week. Every week, that's why. Hugs and kisses, Aaron YYR.
That really means a lot. Thank you. Really true. Like this week especially.
Hearts.
That means an awful
Sorry
lot.
for all the pictures of swollen balls in the chat room. I will explain that later. Okay, I have to actually stop because I have to tell you what my obsession with the swollen balls are now.
Do we really need to go there? Because I'm not sure we need to go there.
Let's go there.
No.
It's actually giving a plug to one of my favorite YouTube channels. So it's Rachel and June, a cute redhead girl that met her now Japanese husband while she was a student over there, was separated from him for a little while, and then moved back. So she actually goes into depth about what it's like being a foreigner in Japan and being married into a Japanese family and whatnot. So she did one about the Tokyo Parasite Museum, hence swollen balls.
You nasty.
So it's interesting. It's science, Rob. Science. What were you gonna say?
Science.
Yes.
Thank you. Fifth Dream in chat. Swollen balls. Is this Horde House? Thank you. I already have to put up with this one night a week. I don't need two.
I'm going to have a talk with Grandpa.
You and Grandpa should do a Dirty Girls show. That's what you should do. Just Dirty Girls.
I think that's what I get for living in his house.
Maybe, what, are you going to get Patty involved in that too?
Yeah, me, Patty, and Grandpa.
Oh, Jesus. Vogue After Dark.
That's it. That's what we're going to call it, Vogue After Dark. Okay, last email. Hey, OLR, great show this past episode. I appreciate that you guys tackle some difficult topics and aren't afraid to dig in. I'm not going to say it. Usually I just enjoy as a passive listener, but this time I felt a little heat rise and wanted to let off a little steam of my own. Ooh. Regarding the discussion on YouTube copyright violations of games/music, I can't comprehend anything but an unrestricted fair use system. Now, I say fair use, which exempts those who simply play artist songs or play movies. It's clearly a different matter altogether. But streaming a game playthrough with a song in the background, that's fair use. It's really a win-win for both consumers and content creators. Playing the games and music are a great way to promote the content. People watch and listen and then buy, which I actually will say I've done. I even got introduced to one of my favorite bands now, Boy and Bear, when they were still really, really new in Australia, because one of their songs played in the background of a commercial. I popped out my Shazam and I tagged the song because I wanted it. And now they're kind of big. I feel like such a hipster. I can't imagine hearing a background song on someone's homemade video or watching a gamer play a game and then say to myself, I'm good. I don't need to buy that game or that CD. At worst, I decide it's a game I don't want to play or a song I don't need to hear again. At best, I go out and buy the game or the album. That's a win-win for me and for the creator. Charging fees for streaming these things and charge fees for streaming these things, and most YouTubers won't or can't pay it, won't stream it, and we won't see and hear it. No promotion, no awareness, no purchase. Lose-lose for both customers and content creators. I really can't believe it's even an issue. Content creators would be would be crazy to do anything to disable promotional avenues. Promotion is everything. Having people stream your game and music for free, you can't do it better. I must be nearsighted here because I can't even understand the other side of this argument. Love the OLR, narc. And I will say this, a lot of these decisions come from, I'm going to say, the upper level corporate side of things, where they're not actually as in touch with reality as the people who are on the ground level. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Nintendo's system is flawed, and anything I was talking about last week, I totally agree. This system that Nintendo came up with only makes Nintendo the winner, as well as all these other people that get a cut. The system is flawed and needs to be fixed, and I believe YouTube is the one that needs to fix it. However, I respectfully disagree with you that, you can't. The Let's Play simply would not exist without the game, period. You're saying in your email that you wouldn't come or you wouldn't see the game if it wasn't for the Let's Player. I'm saying the reverse is true too. And I think that's where you do have the blinders there, is that how did you find the Let's Player in the first place? By looking for the game. The game creates that content. I mean, and this happens in music, this happens in movies.
But that can go either way. Just like, for example, like I find out of a game sometimes, like like watching Total Biscuits videos, and I found out like about a game called Tower of Guns. Mm-hmm. Not by looking for Tower of Guns. I watched his channel and I saw that game, and so I was exposed to it. So it goes both ways.
And so, and I actually agree with that, and that's why I don't think Nintendo deserves 100%. I don't think they do, and I think if Nintendo wants to give away, essentially say, we're going to give away our game for free for you to stream, then go ahead and do so. And that would encourage more people to do it. If they wanted to do that, they could, and it would, in fact, encourage more people to do it. But they don't have to do it. Just like there's people that put music out there in the public domain saying, here, please use my music. Just give me a credit. That's all I want. Please just help me get my music out there. It's fine. I don't think Nintendo is obligated to let you use it for free. But I also understand that, well, it's not like people are going to sit here and try to license something from Nintendo. No, but YouTube is ultimately the one that's making the money off both people in that situation. I think it is up to YouTube to come up with the system that is fair for both parties. And if a gaming company wants to give up their portion of it to encourage more people to do the Let's Plays, then so be it. And maybe a lot of game companies will do it because it would probably be the smart thing to do for a lot of those reasons you just named. But I don't think a gaming company has to do it. So that's, again, I don't want to drudge up the whole debate, but those are just my thought out responses to your email. So just try really, really hard to look at it the other way around. I'm not saying you necessarily have to have the corporate mentality, but just, consider that Nintendo did make the game that this person is wanting to stream. And without the game, there is nothing to stream. Anyway. All right. I'm sure there'll be more thoughts on this later. Participate at orangeloungeradio.com if you want to give more thoughts on this later. Oh no, I guess in chat while we were doing that email, that's a bummer. I guess the stream died right in the middle of that for our live listeners. Unfortunately, guys, there was a big storm in California over the weekend, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if the internet's a little shitty as a result. So sorry about that. There's I was worried this might happen tonight with all the storms. I'm just lucky the rain stopped right at 6 o'clock, so I don't have to worry about power outages, knock on wood. Let's hope.
Knock on particle board.
Because I never did buy that UPS or whatever I'm supposed to get.
UPS?
The Universal Power Source or whatever that thing's called?
Uninterrupted power supply.
That's it. I was close.
Oh.
Do you remember? Oh, you weren't here that week.
No.
Because it was Flacco that was here that week. He was like filling in for you. The power went out completely. And
Flacco
we lost
was
the show.
Here and I missed it?
Yeah, well, he'll come back. I'm sure if you ask him really nicely to, he'll come back. This is a long time ago. This was when we were doing the show at the apartment. This was a while ago. Stop whining.
Sniff.
All right.
Okay, whatever. I see how it is, Flacco.
Well, then I guess clearly somebody is in the mood to get to the FUs of the week. So shall we get to the FUs of the week?
Whatevs.
Here is justice. Here is punishment. Here
FU to stuff I cannot discuss. Reasons and things. FU to my dear friend having crappy pneumonia like I did a few years ago. You remember that? I have a friend now going through almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's why Flacco filled in for you that week.
Well, that was years and years ago.
Oh, well, okay, that one.
That was when I was still working at Hellhole.
Oh dear.
Well, it didn't start off as Hellhole, but anyway. And the other FU goes towards having this creative outlet that I love that I can't stop working on. And now,
Well, it's not this show.
you know what?
Love, you mean it. I'm sorry. I had to. Come on. You left yourself wide open for that.
I've got stuff in the works for the show.
Okay.
I told you. I'm doing things. Stuff's happening. I will move mountains for OLR if they're really tiny
By
mountains.
mountains, she means giant swollen balls again.
Or psychically thrown trucks.
I will kick some giant swollen balls.
Psychically thrown testicles. There you go.
That's it. We need a game. Okay, do you remember?
Psycho
All right,
testicles.
pause music.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember the game? No, when they had that like meeting going on and someone
So
put
instead
in.
of like psycho knots, it's psycho nuts.
Let her finish.
Hold on. And someone had like one of those little drone helicopter things, except it was a big dick with balls floating
Yeah.
around. We need a helicopter game called what did you just call it? Protecto Nuts?
Psycho
Nuts.
Psychonauts.
Called Psycho Nuts. A shooter game called Psycho Nuts. It's a little helicopter dick going around and shooting down all of our enemies.
It's like Choplifter, but Cocklifter.
I like that even better.
I agree with Dark Tetsuya in our chat room over at live.vognetwork.com. Wow, tonight's show.
We've earned our
Great.
M rating. We've earned our IM rating. Immature.
All right. Do we have? Can I bring the music back? Are we
I
done with FUs?
guess.
All right, Loki, your FUs.
My FU of the week, I guess, goes to just, I don't know, being distracted. Because, unfortunately, I've been trying to work on my game and stuff, but when I get tired, sometimes the internet distracts me and I end up watching tons of YouTube videos for no reason.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
Ball bouncers.
Stop it. I have a really big epic FU I want to give, but I'm gonna be the bigger person. Just bite my freaking tongue at least for one more week. But I will say this: I will give a more lighthearted FU to the Carolina Hurricanes for beating the San Jose Sharks last night at my first ever hockey game that I went to. Since I was in San Jose anyway, my friends were like, hey, you want to go to the Sharks game tonight? And I was like, all right, sure. I've never been to a hockey game. What the hell? So I went to my very first Sharks game ever. And
Now you get your official bro license.
the team lost. Yes, and now I'm a bro. Yay!
Pop that collar. Oh.
Hey, Loki, you want to go bro out?
No. I've only been
Rob,
to one hockey game too, but it was
I
it was
have
roller
one word
hockey.
for you.
What?
Dodge nads.
I will say this though, and somewhere SSGO 100 Matt is going to be beaming when I say this, but I actually really enjoyed myself, and I want to go again. Go Sharks! All right. I think my favorite thing in the world was when they put the guy in the penalty box. They would put it up on the big screen, and when it was the opposing team, the dude would go in the penalty box, and the big shark teeth would come down. It would go chomp, chomp, chomp. I don't know why, but that made me cackle like nothing else the entire night because the whole audience would do the chomp, chomp, chomp thing. And I'm like, that guy has to sit in a box and think about what he did. I'm like, only in hockey are you going to get arrested for hooking. That guy's a hooker. All right, anyway.
Were there any fights that broke out?
No, but there was a dog pile, but no fights. Oh my God. I
Rob,
wanted to go down there and punch some guy in the face. I was that little sneaky little shit on the
You want to know
Hurricanes.
2 facts?
What?
There are 2 fluids that will bounce on ice.
Blood.
Blood and vomit.
Well, I unfortunately saw neither at the
You haven't lived.
show. I know. So there you go.
Perhaps my son will when he goes to Disney on Ice this weekend.
I don't think a fight is supposed to break out at
Exactly.
Disney on
It would be
Ice.
unexpected. I love that. Unfortunately, I'm not going. So
All right, SSU 100 Matt in chat says, Rob going to an NHL game is the greatest crossover. And SSU 100 Matt says, Rob, I'll go with you. Fine, I'll come out. What's your team? It's got to be New York. So I'll come to New York City. We'll go to a game. Do they ever get to play the Sharks? I'm still learning. Bear with me here. I don't know what teams are in what league.
You know what? My hometown, Mobile, Alabama, has a hockey team. It's not NHL, but they have a team called the Mystics. STICKS.
Oh, I like that. That's a clever name.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting, though, that the Carolina Hurricanes, because I'm just, as somebody who's kind of newer to this, I'm not going to be able to help but judge teams based on their colors, their mascots, and their logos, right?
Really, yeah, that's what it's important.
It's very important in choosing like what team you're going to root for. And the Sharks, I got to say, not just the fact that they're the local team, but teal's a rad color. The fact that they can play in a shark tank is hilarious, and Sharky's an amazing mascot. It's a win-win all around.
Especially now that we have the Super Bowl. Shark mascots are trending upwards.
Yeah, that's right. I know. There was a mission I did in Ingress where it was about the Sharks, but I got Left Shark as my badge. But anyway, I digress. The Carolina Hurricanes, their logo looks like a red butthole. Like, that's the logo for their team. And I'm like, we just lost to the red buttholes. How did a shark lose to a butthole? Anyway.
Well, it could have been a whale butthole, in which case, I could see that there wouldn't be competition there.
Anyway, all right. Put them together, though. You get Sharknado because of sharks and a hurricane. All right, anyway. Moving on. There's going to be a week I come on this show, and you're going to be like, how was your gaming week? I'm going to be like, you know what? I played NHL 15.
Played Blades of Steel.
You're going to be like,
which is also on the
Who
cabinet.
is Rob? What did you do with him? All right, anyway. Just a couple more stories for you guys, then we're going to get to our Skype line at 1-877-GAME-OLR. Our username on Skype is orangeloungeradio. Loki.
They may have been wondering, what does all that shark talk have to do with anything in gaming? Well, I'm about to tell you, because they're going to make a Katy Perry game. That's right, Katy Perry, as in, the one Dance with Sharks during the Super Bowl halftime. And it's coming to you from Glue Mobile, who was behind Kim Kardashian Hollywood. So you have to know that.
Which has a great soundtrack.
You
You can hate on Kim Kardashian Hollywood all you want, but the soundtrack is awesome.
I'm telling you, this is one of those games that thank God that you do not have eye tracking software, because it just wouldn't be able to work for me.
Why do you keep looking at the shark?
Because they're so awesome. I seriously want one of those for Halloween.
I have a feeling that's going to be a really overdone cosplay
yeah,
and Halloween costume later this year. But there's still a lot of time for a new meme to show up between now and Halloween, so
there's a lot of time.
We'll see. There's a lot of time. All right.
But I'm not sure when it's supposed to be coming out. Apparently they're saying that Android they have a 5-year deal with Katy Perry that they're going to put out some games apparently on Android and iOS, and I don't know. So hopefully, maybe we'll see that soon.
William Murderface with the lulz in chat saying, it's a shame that the Katy Perry game won't be made by Dark Horse. Get it? Because she has a song called Dark...
I understand.
Hey, from Katy Perry to Doctor Who. I don't know what those two things have in common whatsoever, but work with me here on this transition. Apparently, there's a new Doctor Who game that will help kids learn to code. It's a free Doctor Who game available from the BBC called The Doctor and the Dalek. It's available on Android, iOS, and Amazon app stores, and it's a platforming adventure, but it includes logic-based programming, if, then, or, and, all those types of things you see in programming. Peter Capaldi actually lends his voice to the game. It was written by Phil Ford, one of the series writers. There's 3 worlds and 12 levels, and you will go on the hunt for the Orb of Fates, an ancient device from the Time War that unlocks the Starbane, a weapon that can wipe out whole solar systems. And of course, the Daleks and the Cybermen are fighting over this. So the Doctor serves as a mentor. He is not the main character. He's helping to control a reprogrammed Dalek in search of the artifact. BBC Learning commissioned this game, and it ties into the IT curriculum that the government has been focusing on over there with modern computer skills. That sounds like fun. It sounds like a modern version of something like Rocky's Boots, but now using characters, from Doctor Who, beloved series like that. Dark Sakura, did you check this out? You want to learn some programming? Although I'm sure the basics are things you probably already are aware of, but
I'd suggest it to people.
yeah, might be fun to check out.
Yeah.
All right. Loki, you want to play some Doctor Who? Learn a thing or two about programming?
Kind of already doing that. I think it's good. I like that they have that type of stuff that makes it accessible. Anything to get more people interested in that kind of stuff.
I do too. This type of stuff I wish was around when I was a kid, to be honest. I really wish so. All right, well, that does it for the news tonight that we had on deck. So let's open up the Skype line. It's open, 1-877-GAME-OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, all one word, if you want to give us a call. Skype line is open now. In the meantime, I'll turn to Loki and see real quick if he has any last-minute stories.
I do not.
You do not?
It's been a slow news week.
It has been. There hasn't been as much going on this week as previous weeks. But there's been just a few big things, like the Zelda rumor, which isn't even really news. I'm going to try to go to the Twitter here while we wait for some calls. But hey, the phones are lighting up. Hooray! Let's get to it. We do have a call on the line, so let's get to it. Hi, you're on Orange Lounge Radio. Who's this?
Hey guys, it's Jason.
Hey Jason, good to see you. I see you on the webcams.
Yes.
With your epic new microphone, which I'm so jealous of.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't really noticed, go listen to last week's episode and then listen to this week's episode. There's a tiny little bit of a difference.
Yeah, if you didn't notice, Jason has an epic new microphone. It's great.
Well, they didn't because I haven't actually posted anything about it publicly yet. Just a bunch of friends, a couple coworkers, and then some people that I do things with on Twitch actually have seen it so far.
We're all waiting for you to start a new podcast at some point. I'm sure that's going to be a thing someday.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's basically just seeing what can actually be committed to.
I understand. Well, anyway, enough about all that. What's on your mind tonight?
So we were having this discussion right at the top of the show, the discussion of Netflix and the 3DS and all that stuff kind of tangled in. And I said something that I've never really thought about before. I said 3D is the 60s sci-fi expectation of immersion in the future. And I think... I said it, so I'm admittedly biased, but I think that was actually a shockingly accurate thing to say. 3D is still a very interesting effect. Simulated depth is still a huge thing. But considering that it's just limited to watching an experience, we've already surpassed that. The point that I made in the conversation in chat was that even if it's not 3D, computers and the internet have already completely usurped that, because we can virtually be anywhere in the world virtually be around whoever we want to be around, and have these, previously impossible kind of connections with people and places and things, not physically, but that's not necessarily always a requirement.
Someday, Jason, as weird as it sounds, and I know people are going to take this to a dirty place, but hear me out here. Someday, Jason, you're going to be able to feel them too, even though they might not necessarily be right there. I mean, everything is one step closer to the holodeck. That's someday. Yeah, but science fiction, right? You talk about the 60s 3D. I'm talking about Star Trek. Which, to be fair, is the 60s originally, but I guess my mind is set on Next Generation, okay? Star Trek is Next Generation to me. So I just think about the holodeck and how a lot of gaming stuff gets one step closer to it.
Yeah, and it's just interesting. It's just funny that the way that we're getting there is also with no concept of touch. Touch reactive, but no concept of touch.
Ooh, Akuma JP in chat with a good point, though. Well, we can print it. So we are getting closer to that touch. I mean, you can visualize it and you can make it. Granted, maybe not today. There's a lot of limitations on what it is you can do. But when they're advertising a fucking 3-dimensional pen in Sky Mall, rest in peace. And now you know where I saw this last on a plane. I'm like, the future is here. It's a 3D pen.
Those I don't even know what the proper marketing name for it is. I want to call them skywriting pins. Are definitely interesting. I think I'm going to have a disconnect from it until I can actually get my hands on it. Not to mention, I'm not exactly the creative type in that way, anyways. So,
no, I hear you.
But yeah, it's absolutely interesting. 3D printing, both at the personal scale as well as the professional scale, like that is a huge step forward. I think the problem is that printing has a lot of permanence to it. That it's still like worlds away from being holodeck, from being scene creation, destruction, and rebuilding, and anything along those lines. Like 3D printing is going to be better for architecture, and there's been talk about like medical 3D printing and all that kind of stuff. Like that's going to apply with permanence, with things that have to have a place in the world. So
it's just crazy seeing how far we've come. And if you think about it, all this 3D printing stuff, this technology is still really, really new and emerging. I mean, this is only really within the past 2 years, that we're seeing this really start to take off. And it's really weird to think, like, where the hell are we going to be in 5 more years?
Yeah, it's the best time to be. It's the best time to be a geek.
What a time to be alive!
Always even more the truth.
What a time to be alive, right?
I've talked about as like gaming has kind of come and gone, as I have kind of gotten into and out of gaming and that kind of stuff. I've always talked about, as a kid, I always identified as a gamer. But in my adulthood, both professionally and personally, I've kind of noticed that it's just tech-centric, and gaming was kind of the best expression of that. I play games on a console. I play games on a computer. I'm a gamer. But I've kind of noticed that I'm more general tech, and just very, very happily, gaming is one of, the primary subdivisions, categories, whatever you want to call it.
It's kind of funny you put it that way, because if you think about it, the evolution of this very show has gone down a very similar path, right? We were about DDR, and then it was, well, we've got to talk about some more music games because they're not making DDR, and then it was, well, I guess really we just like video games, and DDR is just the video game we're all playing right now. Let's talk about video games, and now we're on the Voice of Geeks network. It turns out video games is really just one of many geeky things I'm into.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of crossover, although admittedly, because I focus so much time on gaming, I don't get a chance to watch as much anime. But I appreciate that fandom. It's there. There's a lot of fun stuff that goes on over there. But we've got Ranma and Patty and Ari talking about all that over on the Anime Jam session and so forth. That's why I love what we're doing here at VOG and so forth. So
absolutely. Leave it to the people that can speak definitively on that and be a very happy enabler or just a fan.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry, not to turn your call into self-promotion, but it's going to happen. Sometimes it's going to happen.
I like the philosophic. Is that even a proper conjunction?
Philosophic.
I like philosophical. Thank you. I like philosophical topics.
Right word, wrong pronunciation.
Whatever.
That's all right.
English.
That's all right. That's why you're the perfect voiceover guy. All right.
I'll take your word for that one.
All right, my friend. I'm gonna let you go so we can get some more calls.
Have a good night, everyone.
Talk to you in the future.
Ooh.
All right, bye.
Bye.
1-877 Game OLR, or our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio. I'm always happy when Jason calls in the show so I can check on his beard progress. It's amazing. There's gonna come a day though when Jason's gonna be like, "Yeah, I just shaved it off." I just felt like shaving it off today.
I'm going to tell Jason what I told our friend Will, that he needs to braid it like a dwarf.
No.
He needs...
No, Jason looks just fine.
Dwarven braids.
But if he ever does come that day where he's just going to be like, I'm just going to shave it off, he needs to, donate the hair to one of those charities that makes wigs or something.
I actually wonder what happens if you take a straightener to a beard.
I don't know.
I want someone to show me what it looks like when you use a hair straightener on a beard.
Isn't the answer on Reddit or Google somewhere?
I'm about to Google this.
Can you go to Ask Reddit? Dear Reddit. All right. 187 Dear OLR listeners, the time is now for you to call in. 1-877 Game OLR, our username on Skype, Orange Lounge Radio, all one word. And Jason is in chat saying there's nothing wrong with braiding. It's less permanent than shaving. There you go. I was trying to go to the Twitters to see if we had any tweets. SSGO 100 Matt did tweet us. We're going up against the Grammys tonight. My God. I really, really cannot stand the Grammys. And it's not just the competitive thing about the fact that, they're on the same time as our show. I mean, talk about talk about irrelevant. Let's just leave it at that. But I'm sure there were some fine performances and some great fashion. But anyway, SSJ 100 Matt did tweet us and say, no need to check up on the Grammy winners. Betty White won Song and Album of the Year. Of course, she always would give her all the awards. She wins everything. You know, the thing about the Grammys is that I'm sure your favorite song didn't even get nominated. I bet your favorite album of the year didn't even get nominated. So, I don't know. What do the Grammys even mean?
I found a picture of a YouTube clip of someone using a straightener on his beard, but it was a tiny beard and not a dwarf beard.
Like a beard like me, huh?
No, it was a little bit longer than yours. It was kind of one of those scraggly, face froze. But not like an epic beard like
All right. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I'm going to just give a few more minutes here for there to be a call to come in here. But last call, if you want to get in for the night, 1-877-GAME-OLR or username on Skype is orangeloungeradio. People in chat talking about Beck won Album of the Year. For real? That's actually my favorite.
They had an album out this year?
Well, Beck. Oh yeah, Beck's still been making music. Alan likes him a lot. I bet he'll be tickled to hear about that. That's kind of interesting to hear that. But I thought they were going to give it to that British guy that stole the Tom Petty song. I thought that's what they were all saying. But anyway, as much as I appreciate Beck, that wasn't my favorite of the album of the year last year. I didn't even realize one was out. Anyway, 13X Forever or 13 Cross Forever. I can never remember which way you prefer it to be pronounced. I think it's 13 Cross Forever. Sends us a tweet saying, so I just finished Chrono Trigger for the first time. Closing time, huh? From now on, it will never be the same, in reference to the song we depart you with every week here at Orange Lounge Radio. Well, I'm glad you got to kind of hear that song in the game, and maybe it was a little surprise for you.
The actual name of it is Too Far Away Times.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to just give a shout out because I saw a few tweets on this. Thank you to those of you that nominated us in the podcast awards. If you forgot to do that, it's too late, unfortunately. They closed on February 6th. And I'm somewhere on the fence with all that stuff. Although certainly the promotion is really great. And I'm always very thankful if we can get nominated to get that additional exposure, because as an indie podcast, it's very hard for us sometimes to get that exposure, especially if we focus everything we do on the podcast. So we don't have a YouTube, we don't have a Twitch, we don't we have those, we don't really focus on them, you know what I mean? Like, we don't make things specific for YouTube, because Jason's probably sitting there going, wait a minute, yes, you do have a YouTube. But the YouTube is for what we're doing now. We don't do a lot of like custom created things. It's not like our focus or what have you. So anyway, getting that exposure is great. I don't know if we'll get actually nominated or not, but then there's that whole side of it where it's like, well, it's also a giant popularity contest, and I don't know. I just hope we can keep it indie and get some additional exposure for the hardworking indie people out there. And and I always say it at the end of every show. If you didn't like what you heard here at Orange Lounge Radio, then at least tell a friend or two about the show and help us spread the word, because it is the show where every gamer has a voice, but there's lots of voices out there that aren't participating with the program. All right. And good, Jason in chat saying the YouTube videos are not a unique product. It's another medium for the show. That's a good way of putting it. It's another way to deliver the bread and butter of what it is that we do. And he says, I know exactly what you meant. Thank you. All right. Anyhow, the phone's not ringing, so I guess no more voices want to continue tonight. I guess everybody's too distracted with them silly Grammys. But if you do have other thoughts after the show, you can always email us, participate at orangeloungeradio.com. And you can also hit us up on social media and our forums over at vognetwork.com, where we will continue some of the discussions from tonight's show throughout the week and give you a preview of some stories to come next week. Anyway, we have reached the end of another episode of the show. Thank you guys very much for listening and supporting Orange Lounge Radio. Since I already gave you that whole spiel, we'll go around and get everybody's final thought for the night. I will start with my final thought for the night. My final thought for the night is I'm going to try and play at least one new game this week, so I have something new to talk about during my gaming week next week. As much as I love Diablo 3 and Season 2 starts Friday, and I can't wait, I'm going to really try to do something new for you guys. Dark Sakura, your final thought tonight.
I like big butts, and I cannot lie.
You other brothers can't deny.
They could deny it. They'd be wrong.
And last but not least, Loki, your final thought tonight.
I'm working on my game some more.
All right.
Hopefully I will have something. I want to get more than one level done for this week.
And I want to be rated 5 strips of bacon. So
Sorry, it only goes up to 3, possibly 4.
What? Are you sure it's not like a thing you unlock where like 5 is the super secret level?
4 would be super secret, actually.
Oh.
Maybe. And
already blown away the secrets of your game, and it's not even out
I haven't
yet.
decided yet. It's just a thought right now.
All right, that's going to do it. Thanks,
Wait.
What?
I did not make a reference to Anaconda.
Uh-huh.
I made a reference to Sir Mix-a-Lot. Get it right.
All right, fair enough. That's going to do it. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to another week of Orange Lounge Radio. We will be back in 7 days, just after Valentine's Day, to do it all over again. And, I know there's a lot of people that on Valentine's Day are like, well, I'm single and I hate Valentine's Day. You know who needs love on Valentine's Day?
All the people who were massacred in the name of getting married when the church banned it?
No. Kittens and puppies. So
go adopt a kitten on
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Yes, that would always be a great thought. Is if you are going to be alone on Valentine's Day, I'm sure there's a kitten or a puppy that
Pet a
would really
pussy.
love.
I will be hugging Midna.
Have a great week, everybody. On that note, we will leave it at that. Have a great week. We'll see you next time here at Orange Lounge Radio.
You've been listening to Orange Lounge Radio. Orange Lounge Radio is a production of OLR Studios. To join us for a live show, tune into vognetwork.com Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff of Orange Lounge Radio or VOG Network, but they were all still true. See you next week.